da s očmi najdeva se zazdi. Ja sam tu, a tvoj pogled je z mojim mal skozi let. Praznino neskončno zre.
Check, check.
That's what,
Yeah, I saw them on the tour. Or maybe that was 12 tours. Welcome to Axe to Grind, the best podcast coming out of Sunnyside, Queens.
Shazam. We moved boroughs.
We did all borough kings.
Yo,
We are.
Last recording. Drove in through GW, up through the Bronx, picked up Mr. Kinlan
Yeah.
in Manhattan,
Yeah.
across to Queens,
Pick me up.
picked up Mr. Tom, down into Brooklyn, did a little bit of recording, and in a twist of fate, drove out through Staten Island.
So you
I
literally
normally cut through Manhattan, but we finished up sort of early, so if I drove through Manhattan, it would have taken too long, so I went out through Staten Island, all 5 boroughs. One day.
Wow.
That's
A
impressive.
rare feat.
That
I
sucks,
feel like
actually.
that's notable because I don't know how many times in my life that's happened.
No.
I might catch 3 easy, no
yeah,
worries.
yeah.
2, you do it all the time.
The Bronx
The Bronx, who
is real. And Staten Island. They're the outliers.
those are the outliers. Yep.
Staten Island is definitely, you're not going there for any real reason.
Yep.
But I'm Patrick.
I'm Bob.
And I'm Tom from Sunnyside, Queens.
What's up?
Did I tell you I worked an after-school program at Sunnyside, Queens?
No, I didn't. You did not.
What are you doing?
A friend of mine was running the program. We're talking middle schoolers.
Uh-huh.
And he was just like, we need a soccer coach. And I said, I don't even, I haven't played soccer. I've never played soccer.
Organized, right.
Yeah. And he says, these are disadvantaged kids. Who gives a fuck? No,
Just be there.
Yeah. He's like,
Right.
just be there and
Make sure nobody
that-
kills each other.
Right. And I wasn't great
Okay.
because A, I'm bad at soccer.
Yep.
And B, I'm low patience for children.
Yes.
It's like a perfect storm.
It was
of
a
shit.
powder keg.
Yes.
You know, I did get. So the one kid that was kind of a little tough nut, you know what I mean, and a little bit of a
Yeah.
hard apple.
Yes.
A dog came running at us,
Oh.
and this.
Who you're very good with.
I'm a dog. You can put me in a situation. Any dog.
Call you Cesar Milan.
Yes. Children, no.
Yes.
Dogs, yes.
Call you Cesar Milan.
Dog comes running at us, but not in a.
Aggressive way.
No. This little tough man crawled up my back as though I was, like
He-Man.
It was
He had some trauma.
And he was Orko.
He had some dog-involved trauma, obviously.
perhaps. Some people are just
Some dogma.
some people just terribly afraid of dogs.
Yeah,
and
some
jump.
lots.
If you haven't gotten stung by a bee,
I have.
you get a little nervous.
Yes, not so
I had-
much that I've run over somebody's back.
No.
No, but I've relocated.
I'm not worried about bee. I'll smack a bee down. I feel bad about it, but
All right, here you want a story that
Let's go.
explains my entire life? Playing, little league baseball. I was probably like 8 years old.
Yeah.
Shocking. Was not a thin child.
Okay. All right.
And I decided, for whatever reason, I went to practice in red sweatpants and a yellow shirt.
okay. He-Man, Hulk Hogan style.
Sure. Bees are sometimes like,
Oh.
they
You look like a giant sexy bee.
something.
Or
Maybe,
they're attracted those colors.
to those colors.
Yeah, like
I'm
a flower.
playing. I feel like what I think is a thread on my sleeve, and I pull
Oh.
it. It stings me right in the middle.
In the hand, yeah.
Yeah.
So the coach is like, "Are you allergic?" I'm like, "I don't know. Is my hand swelling up?" And the coach is like, "Can't really tell, buddy."
Fuck.
And I was like,
Wait, the little league coach was not knowledgeable in things of medicine.
"Well,
Surprise.
or that he was like, your hand's fat.
Yeah.
I can't tell."
Oh.
Yeah.
I was an allergic. I lived.
I liked how delicately
He's like, "I don't really know, man."
Yeah.
And I was like,
can't
"I
tell you
appreciate that, but I know you're calling me fat. So
Yeah.
thanks, buddy."
That's
Flint
good.
Celtics.
That's kind of a good story. I like that.
So my story of being stung by a bee was, and if there's any listeners who know Nick or Matt Kutrub, Kutryb from Latham, New York, tell them to get at me. I was in their backyard.
Good Trubs.
Yeah, good folks. One was a Yankees fan. The other was an Orioles fan. Interesting.
That is interesting.
Cal Ripken.
Yeah. Eddie
Cal
Murray.
Ripken, good logo.
Great logo. If you're a kid, you're attracted to it. And the Yanks were not great, and the Mets were the other option, and they went AL.
If you've got like a working class dad that is about like the Iron Man, you know,
What's the
like,
strip club that every
like-
every dad hung out at lunchtime in Albany?
well, DeCarlo's is Albany. If you were Latham, you're talking Night Moves.
Yep, there you go.
There you
at
go.
lunch. So
Lunch.
so anyways, in the backyard in the summer, little pool, like those basically foot pools, but
Yeah.
if you're a kid, we're probably second grade, so we're small enough, but we were running across a pretty big backyard and jumping into the pool and
Right.
basically flopping into the
Sure,
pool and
yeah.
flopping out.
Yeah.
Run, step on a bee, get stung on the bottom of my foot, face first into the side of the pool. It was soft, but then bunch of water on me. It was
So fuck bees.
I don't have a mullet. I'm not. I don't have like a persona where
this is
I'm.
Bethlehem, not Cohoes.
Well, I don't have a persona where I'm like play up my white trash background.
True.
But my mother had 4 children in rapid succession.
Uh-huh.
Would you call them the Irish twins?
Yeah, there's a lot
Quads,
of.
yeah.
Well, considering she also miscarried twice, that would have meant that she was having like kid like immediately
Like,
after kid.
yeah,
Like, so at any
Wow.
rate,
There you go, Frank.
yeah, they stayed busy. So point is, I was stung by. I've been running in.
I've been stung by bees, yeah.
shoeless,
Yeah, yeah.
You know, like that
Why
was
am I
just.
picturing you like Joe Dirt?
I was going to tell a story that came to me when you said like the Kerberbal twins, and I was like, "Oh my!"
Kerberbal?
I was like, "Oh my god!"
Gut
I had a
Kerberbal
kid
twins?
in my neighborhood who would drink spit all day, and I was like, "Holy!"
So
fuck.
here's
I was
the
like,
thing,
I'm
I
more
think-
white trash than I remember.
I think it's more suburban. I've been stung by bees. I can't tell you how many times. It just happens.
Yeah,
but,
no, you.
but because it's proximity, I guess.
Yeah,
Shout
didn't
out
have
to
a ton of
bees.
bees.
I'm with them, but
Brooklyn didn't have a ton of.
nah.
no,
Bees chasing
you guys
you down.
killed them off
Yeah.
earlier than us.
Yeah.
Shout out to bees. I want to give a quick shout out.
to bees.
I want to give a quick shout out. I just found out a good friend of mine who I've known for a long time, Jesse Crow, from the band Iron Boots, also from the band Victim, had a heart attack on Thursday.
Oh my goodness!
A guy about my age. So,
Wow.
Fuck. None of my business. He live healthy.
He's, I think, not as well as he would like.
Okay, well,
and he
yeah, that'll
mentioned
catch
that.
up.
He addressed that. So I want to shout him out. He's got a family. That stuff's serious. Everybody take care of yourselves. If not for you, for the ones around you. So
For fucking
Jesse,
sure.
Yeah.
Love
Thoughts
you.
are with you, brother.
yeah, love you. Get better.
Yeah, and when I asked that, by the way,
There's no disrespect.
No, heart attacks can happen to anybody. I'm just always
I
curious.
mean, how many times
about,
have you heard like, "Oh, I run marathons and I still have like it's
Not. I mean, I don't know. I'm fascinated by people's. Did I tell you my mother looked into? So she got her DNA, whatever the fuck that is.
Secret
But-
Italian. Yeah.
But then she also did the ancestry
23andMe.
thing, where she's looking like.
She
what-
wanted Big Brother to know exactly everything about your life.
she looked no, not the DNA one. The one where you're looking at
Yeah.
whatever that fucking is.
Where you give the info to the Mormons. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think the DNA
Yes.
stuff does that. If you pay extra, they can be like, you have a you could have
Jimmy John,
Cancer
sub guy.
type.
That's your third cousin.
my mother
And Eric Wilson's
my
favorite.
mother's. I think my mother's trying to understand how fucked my father is. You know what I mean? Like I think
she's trying to get
I think
to the
she's
root.
trying to
Okay.
understand like how many
Does she
generations.
keep trying to prick your finger or something? Get blood? Like
yeah, no, something like of the maybe whatever 10 Kinlins that
Mm-hmm.
she's researched, 4 died from falling.
yeah.
wow.
That's not.
That's a lot of-
That's a high number.
40% of people
but
dying
let's-
from falling.
Let's throw it to a different thing.
Were they all roofers?
Yeah,
It's that's
then
the
it
thing.
makes sense.
They were Kinlin is German for roofer. So
that speaks to me that there's some lifestyle problems.
well,
You know?
yo, let's talk about Frank.
Yes.
real quick. Dude's like invincible.
Seemingly every time
Like,
I
come
try
on.
to knock on wood when I say that because I'm like,
Yes.
oh, did I curse that?
Yeah.
fucker?
Like 10 years ago, you were like, I don't know.
I thought he was dead 10 years ago.
I know.
Yeah,
I know.
Dude's
For sure.
unbreakable.
Dude,
For sure.
yeah, he's
For sure.
on that Bruce Willis shit. Shout out to you.
Almost looks. I wouldn't say too thin because he looks. He's still heavy for a 77-year-old man or whatever the fuck he is.
Healthy to keep weight at that point.
Right, and that's what I keep saying. But like, I'm used to him being like a big dude.
Yeah.
So so for him to be just a thick old man is a weird look.
But he's thick like THIC.
Yeah, like slim, thick with a fat ass. What's up, Dad? Looking
Wow.
good. Taking care of yourself.
So let's keep it. Everybody be healthy. Heart attacks can happen to anyone. Amanda's father had a heart attack that was on that quadruple bypass surgery
Fuck.
shit. And healthy as a horse, worked, did contracting, so he stayed active, still staying active now. But like, yo, holy shit, that stuff's crazy. So everybody take care of yourselves. We want everyone to be healthy, whether we like your music or not.
Exactly.
Yeah. I ate a full thing of refrigerator cookies the other day, so I'm
ready?
not killing
What
it
are
these days.
refrigerator cookies?
Well, okay, refrigerator.
Oh, you know what he's talked about? This is
refrigerator
pivot
cookies are their
point
own
for his
thing.
life.
Well, refrigerator cookies are their own thing. This time I was referring to not actual refrigerator cookies, which are totally bizarre white trash things, but I'm
Like whoopie pies.
I'm talking about they're like fake whoopie pies. They're white trash whoopie pies. If there's something more white trash than whoopie pies, this is it. I'm actually talking about you go to Whole Foods, you buy the they used
the
to come
cookies
in,
they put in the freezer.
They used to come in tubes when you know what I mean, when you could just buy tubes of
Food.
cookies, but now they come in or rolls. Like it was like you never bit the roll of cookie?
No.
Did you ever bite the roll of cookie?
Like cookie dough?
Yes, it was raw. It was raw cookie dough.
That's not
Yes.
a cookie. It's cookie dough.
well, technically you are correct. But-
No, it's not technically.
Well,
Well, all right, okay.
You wrong mouthed the refrigerator
Yeah.
cookie, but you had some cookie dough. Yes.
I had.
Can
But
you get sick from that? I heard you can get like
Well,
some kind of
because-
salmonella.
Salmonella, eggs, all that.
but I'm the vegan. I'm
right.
eating the vegan shit. You can eat that right.
Ow, chomp. Yeah.
But I got compulsive and weird and just kept I was like, I did a couple push-ups today. I can eat a fucking
It's
whole
so good.
Then
thing
you
of-
had White Castle, so it kind of
Yes, and then I had my Impossible Burger at White Castle, which I had.
so good.
I just had 4, and I'm not feeling good.
4.
Oh no.
Not feeling good.
Right, we're at my house.
I do think
toilet.
the cheese on them is not real cheese, and I would avoid that. But without the cheese, they're great. 2, no problem. 4, starting to get tricky for me.
Really?
Yeah.
If I'm doing
I'm
it
a
for
big
dinner, I
dude.
get like 5.
But that's I think my thing
like
is
end of the day
You know what
meal,
I would
though.
like to do is have 3 or 4, but have something else good with them that aren't French fries.
Right.
Because then I feel like a green or vegetable, like mixed vegetables.
What about an
Something like
onion
that.
ring?
I'd feel
Vegetables.
like a mixed vegetables, like
It's a
like
wild
roasted.
card.
Well, no, just because something that's soaking up some of the grease.
Yeah,
and
no, for
heaviness
sure.
of it,
I hear you. I
know?
just mixed vegetable isn't where I'd go. Oh,
Would you go
what I
onion
like?
ring?
Did you hear about
Fried
kale?
kale.
You
If I
hear
could-
about kale?
Yo, if I could eat onion rings, I would eat nothing but onion rings.
Why
it's
can't
a,
you eat
it's
them?
a
Are they not
blessing.
vegan?
No, they're not. They're almost
breaded?
always battered
yeah.
with some
Yeah, 'cause
nonsense.
they're better, yeah.
But if they make like
They're
a
fantastic.
decent, when I find like when they do fast food, vegan shit, whatever.
Yeah.
When I can find an onion ring, oh god,
You go to town.
I go to town.
I had a vegan po' boy the other night.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Oh yeah.
Our buddy Dan Valentino out in Huntington has a place called Radio, and I got a vegan po' boy. It was actually, it was quite good. I had never had a po' boy, period, full stop, ever.
Yeah.
I didn't know what that equated, but it's like coleslaw, I guess.
All right, did you guys
Pickles and-
hear about kale?
No, what happened?
It's on shit list for pesticides.
Is it
Oh
canceled?
really?
Because it's canceled.
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 Oh.
Because pesticides, because it's very hard to wash off. Even
kale.
when you do a good rinse and wash on kale, which you're supposed to. You're supposed to massage the kale, do the whole thing.
It's so annoying. It's an annoying
It's
fucking
really
thing.
annoying.
It's an
I love.
annoying
Do you ever make
vegetable.
fresh kale chips or anything like that?
I've tried. Look,
I burn the shit out of kale.
Yo,
Yeah.
I can do it really good,
Nah,
and you
I'm not
just,
great at it.
it's good when you do it well. It's really good, but you have to. It takes goddamn time, and stripping them off the stalk.
yes, all that
Fuck
bullshit.
super annoying.
Fuck.
It is good, though.
I hate cooking though. I hate cooking.
Do you? Well, that's
Hate it.
we circle it back to the cookie dough.
Hate cooking. Oh yeah, right.
Cookie dough.
Don't even have patience
well,
to bake.
some kale with some fucking nooch, though.
Oh yeah.
Pretty good.
Oh, nutritional use.
for sure.
Nectar of the gods.
Yeah,
All right,
for sure.
we're gonna talk some hardcore. Let's talk about our sponsors real quick.
Sure. Now a word. Well, it's not actually now. Now a word. It means that they're going to talk.
Yes.
So
I mean,
now-
you can put on a
what
fake
hear
voice if
from-
you want.
You hear from NPR.
Now
a
a
word from our sponsors.
well, NPR is typically like what the Getty Foundation or something. It's usually
They've expanded the reach.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they
Is it
they've
like-
been- they need
They do blue
it's
chew.
Doritos. There's blue chew.
CBD oil. It's just Casper mattresses.
Have you been feeling soft in areas that you'd prefer
To
a
be-
certain hardness?
To be rock hard.
If you think these Hourglass songs are hard,
I'm Terry Gross, and this is sponsored by Blue Chew.
Yo, why don't I listen to more NPR?
I don't know.
I don't listen to any NPR.
Because YouTube and podcasts.
Yeah, probably. But some years
There's some good shit.
Some years I would listen to NPR like pretty much nonstop.
It's good. It's good. It's good background music.
Now is
It's that or 10-10 wins for me.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Sports radio, I've lost hold on it.
What happened? Somebody got hit by a train yesterday? Is that
two
right?
people got hit by trains last week?
Yeah?
Like subway trains. Some woman went to go retrieve her fucking cell phone.
Don't do that.
Yeah, you're never gonna get out in time.
Don't
No.
Those
do
trains
that.
move mad fast.
Don't do that. Listen, there's a Belgian railway, I think, that
Yes.
just got in trouble. You see this? They got yelled at. It was trouble. There's no whatever. They got yelled at online for doing a ad campaign where they showed it was a fashion thing where they were showing clothing, but it was the mangled clothing of people who had been destroyed
by
trains. And it was essentially don't risk your life over dumb shit. Get out of the way of the fucking train, right?
And buy our clothes.
And but people were big mad because it's like, obviously if you lost a family member to getting hit by a train, you don't want to,
Survivors of train tragedy were quite upset.
They were upset. But
I watched something on YouTube, the top 10 worst like ad campaigns.
Mm-hmm.
There was one. It was like I forget who the fuck it was by. Maybe by like PETA or somebody. But it was like, here's the equivalent of like what it would look like if the amount of cows that get killed a year as compared to 9/11, and it like showed you how many planes would be flying into New York at any one time.
Yep.
Oh my God.
That would be the equivalent of like how many. It was like, why would that?
Is that the commercial at the end? It zooms in on the plane, and it's a cow flying the plane, and the cow winks at you.
that's a good ending. Like that's who's the Chick-fil-A? That's like a Chick-fil-A ad.
Yeah,
right?
eat more chicken.
Yeah. Oh my God! I just pictured a building with a bunch of chicken in it. And
So, as the vegan edgelord here, I actually love all those ads and can defend them intellectually, but we're not going to do that because we got sponsors. So let's go into our sponsors.
I
Who
want
we
to throw
got?
him out the window.
I know.
Who we got?
He's jumping not long ago. Who you got?
You're going, you dick.
This is
Go.
me. Okay, well
we
then
play
let
round
me.
robin.
I'm going to choose then. I'm going to do Triple B.
Oh,
Okay. We already said pick up that Akulu. I stand that that's a good idea, but I'm going to say
we say that every week.
I'm going to say, yeah, right. But I like Akulu a lot, so it's hard for me not to fucking big up this. I'm going to say this Deflect record because and I don't know if this is a Triple B release or
Not
if
a
this
Triple B
okay.
release. Distributed. Friends and well-wishers.
So let's talk on that for a second. The labels that we have relationships with on this podcast across the board have distros, and
Get them.
You should avail yourself
Get
to
'em.
that.
And use this discount.
Yes, correct.
These are the people you should be buying your records from.
I'm in the same way. It was Foreseen that had the album art that I really liked.
Yes,
right?
you loved it.
I loved it. I also love this Deflect Mass Delusion art
I love it
a lot.
So much.
A lot. This would push me, like, let's say for a second in fantasy land where I have a home, this would push me in a direction where I would say, you know what? I kind of want this in my home. I kind of want this to exist in 3 dimensions in my space.
That's a rare for you.
Yes, but I love this album art that much that I would want it on display.
Rad.
So everybody check that out.
You should go to triplebrecords.limitedrun.com.
I think that's only out of like $250, so
It's rare. Get
grab
that.
it.
Enter the promo code.
Axe to Grind.
And you have to spell it out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And what do you get? 10% off.
You get 10%.
Great. And now, where else you want to go on this voyage?
Let's see. Okay, so Triple B has some hard records, some heavy records, but it's not necessarily their bread and butter, right? Closed Casket, on the other hand,
bread and fucking butter.
heavy and hard is that
So
bread and
hungry.
butter. And
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
going to, you know how we've talked on this podcast on a number of occasions about
Not familiar.
if I'm ready to fully become the weird guy that wears weird shirts.
Yes, we've gone there.
Are
So-
you not the guy that wears weird shirts
No,
already?
I'm talking about like,
Porn
Now
shirts.
you're dressed straight up like you look like the veteran in Seinfeld.
But imagine him.
I'm
with
born on the 4th of July,
Yes,
guys.
Yeah.
we've gone there. We've identified that brand. Imagine him, same outfit, same brown shirt, But on the brown shirt is a picture of Riley Reid doing her thing.
Yeah, right. So I'm saying, like, what if I start wearing porno shirts or like devil worship shirts?
Do
or,
they
like,
exist?
Oh, yeah.
Are you kidding?
Oh, yeah.
Whole subgenre.
Yeah.
Of like porn shirts?
Yeah.
That like people walk around in public with like
Yeah.
when you have intercourse happening on their chest.
When you have long, stringy hair,
Okay.
but you got broad shoulders, you know what I mean? So that you're like, you're not in shape, but nobody fucks
Are you
with
like Khal Drago?
You're like, you are like, I'm trying to think of who.
Are you Aquaman?
Not Aquaman. Aquaman's too built. I'm talking about like the metalheads on the train that like.
Like Burzum.
Yeah, right.
And pictures of blowjobs.
Right, and I don't give a fuck, and I dare you to stop me because I'm looking for conflict in my life because I don't love it enough not to get stabbed. I don't give a fuck.
Right, like I have this hepatitis B that I would like to share with you.
Right,
Why don't you come at me?
precisely.
Right, got it.
So if you are the junior version of that, if you're just a
JV?
an online JV online edgelord like myself, I think that this Hate Force corpse long sleeve is actually a very hot look.
That took a turn.
It's actually a very hot look. It has the
Nice
word,
design.
It's a nice design. It has the word hate on it. And
Four-sided.
It is. Is it four-sided? Oh,
Count
interesting.
sleeves. How many sleeves is it?
I see three. I see two sleeves. I don't see a back though.
Okay, so at least three-sided.
Yes.
Both sleeves.
like the
equal
die.
look.
Three-sided die. Like
Bo-
that you guys play
both
with.
sleeves.
That's true.
It's got kind of the kind of a little bit of that entombed to shoot straight album art sort of look
All
to
right.
it, but like just a little desiccated little corpse, you know, like, oh, I'm dead, you know, and
Toasted people on a shirt. Ignorant.
right. So
Great for the online edgelord community.
right. So here's what I'm saying. This is you're not a creep if you wear this shirt, but you're creepy if you like step out of the dark wearing this shirt. People just sort of scatter.
Right. If like your end, like if your like final destination is not going to see some weird band at St. Vitus,
Right.
Yep.
you should not be wearing the shirt outside.
Or it just means you're fully committed to the bit.
Fair.
Right. And
So you're going to get a bagel in the shirt.
Right.
100%. So I said that a couple episodes ago, I talked about a Run for Cover label shirt. You can wear the Casual Friday. It's cool. Maybe a little edgy on Casual Friday, but like not too much.
But you want the people that you work with to know that
You're cool.
there's something about Bob.
Yeah. But if you wear this one to Casual Friday,
You HR's, you're getting the call to
you're
HR.
You're going to have lunch with Timmy from HR.
Unless you work, I'm sure we have state workers that listen to us.
We do.
Let me just say again, state
You could
workers,
legit
Shout out
do
Zach.
anything, right?
you're free. You're free.
Yeah.
You can wear any weird thing you want. Wear your porno shirts.
And
You're-
like then dump on your on your boss's desk and then walk away.
100%. You're liberated. You're the most free people in the world.
Take like I thought I was eating Impossible, but I actually ate a real burger. Dump on your boss's
Right on
desk.
the-
Walk right away.
Because nothing can get you fired short of physical assault.
Right.
And even then, the union's going to come
Barreling in, saving
Right.
you. Yeah, it's true.
Get this Hate Force long sleeve. Go to closedcasketactivities.com. Enter the promo code.
axe to grind.
Save yourself.
10% and spell it out.
Spell it out.
Spell that fucking thing out. All right, let's keep it moving. What are we going to be talking about?
We're so good. We're talking about a thing that we've been subtly teasing, a thing we had to cut because we know the biters are out there, be it not other podcasts, not too many other podcasts bite from us. We see a couple, but then we do see some of the other like news sites. We're canceling you. You can't steal our ideas. Come with your own ideas. 5 for 5. What's 5 for 5?
This is
$5 footlong.
now. It's clear that I misunderstand every text. That's just an understood.
No,
right?
this is the thing that I will say. I often do this on purpose. I love interpretation and I don't love rules.
Party on.
The question was, what 5 bands define each 5-year section of hardcore, starting in, say, 1980, just to be rough?
Right. Don't get pedantic and hit us with any fucking like whatever 79 nonsense.
No, yeah, the middle class EP, yeah, it's really good. What other 5 do you put before it?
Yeah.
That would actually be a fun conversation. We'll do some primordial.
It's not
stew
today's
shit.
conversation.
Not
God
today's.
damn it.
January
Sorry,
1st,
DOA.
1980 to December 31st, 1984. January 1st, 1985 to December 31st, 1989. So 5-year sections, 80 to 84, 85 to 89, 90 to 94, 95 to 99, so forth, so forth. We're picking 5 records that define that 5 years. Define is a loose word because maybe it's interpreted solely personally. I don't think any of us did solely personally, but if we did, that's okay.
I
It could-
did almost the opposite.
You did important. I think I found a median where I was like, yo, this is important to me, but also like I feel like it's so important or defining, like important or influential, you know?
Let me say what I did so that there's no confusion over where
Yes.
some of these lists go. I read it slightly down the middle. I took the things that I thought were iconic and important and influential, but I knew that if we did that for certain eras, there'd be so much crossover that there wouldn't be enough conversation.
Right. I kept that in mind too.
So I chose, for example, I don't have Black Flag. Nobody in their right mind would deny that Black Flag is incredibly influential.
And I had a feeling that we'd be able to have these conversations where something like Black Flag, I'm not 100% sure it showed up on any list. We haven't shared them all together. I don't remember mine, so I haven't looked at the note yet. But it's we're going to have these conversations. We hope this creates conversation for you because we do get hit with texts, with emails, with tweets of people being like, hey, my friend just got into hardcore and has really enjoyed your podcast. It's helped them. My significant other, I have gotten into stuff. And we wanted to look back at things in a way that felt easy to access and not overwhelming because, honestly, if you said, Tom, tell me all the records I need to listen to from 1980 to 1985 that are important, how many could you list? Lots, right?
Sure.
A lot. And same thing to 89 to 90 something. It could feel daunting. This is one of the things that I'm going to make the argument that why we should do a comics podcast. Because there are a lot of people out there who are really interested in the idea of comic books. But it's however many years deep. And I think people thought like this. It's daunting.
I would listen to it like a beginner. Like here's
beginner and why you should check it out. And what are some things to look for? Why this is interesting more so than the others. And I think that would be a cool thing. And also being non-biased. And also we could talk about it in a way that isn't negative. We're only talking about shit that we like.
That's a good point.
I think we can do that. So we'll talk about that later. If everybody wants us to do that, email Patrick at Saddam518-420-69, Hawkeye4U269.
There you go.
So this is a kind of like, hey, let's talk about some fun things. Let's identify some records we think are important, influential, or just really good. And there might be shit we miss. I guarantee there will be.
Yeah.
Don't add us in a negative way, but add us with like, yo, this record, this is why. And why? Don't say, I can't believe you missed. We know. Can't believe we missed. We're fucking adults who got things going on. We did this. Sometimes I feel bad because Tom is such a busy dude that when we give homework assignments, I know he's like, God damn it, I don't have time for this shit.
This one felt daunting because I didn't have a convenient way to
There's no way,
search.
tell me the hardcore records that came out in this era.
Right, and
you took it on as a real deal. You went heavy homework.
I did go ahead.
My list, I kind of just breezed through and let me revisit.
I double checked to make sure.
Yes.
Those records. I'm like, what year did this actually, was this 93 or 94?
Right.
So here's what I'm going to say is that my list, I wouldn't say it falls apart during the era.
Everything does.
During the era that
Everything falls apart.
almost made the list. The
Better record cover than record.
I don't know. I really like it.
There's a lot of Husker Du I really like. That record, bits and parts. Anyways.
Title track, great. Anyways,
Yes.
But the eras that we entered. Here's my suspicion: the eras that we not entered actually, because that one was a little bit clearer to me. But eras that would be kind of like we were definitely around for.
Yes.
You know what I mean? 100% present for.
Yes.
Like
Yeah.
became.
Those are harder.
Those are harder.
Yes, because you have to fight with what you were centrally located into
Yep.
versus what you think in the larger conversation was going on versus if you even thought that was good. There's a couple records that made my list that I unequivocally think suck, but I think it would be false for me to deny their importance.
Yeah, there's
to
a lot
that
of
time
that for
frame,
me. And also I think that there's another thing where there's bands that we should mention, but weirdly do not have an album.
Yes.
And that was fascinating to me. Yeah. Like there was bands that I was like, oh, of course, this is an important band from that era. And I'm like, there's no fucking
isn't that-
unified hits here.
Isn't that Black Flag?
Well,
to my ear.
There are people who argue. Let's talk about Black Flag, real
Okay.
quick, because then we'll lead into the actual thing. What is the Black Flag record What is the Black Flag record if you had to speak not for yourself but just in general?
My War? right?
I think it might be Damaged.
I was going to say Damaged, but My War was definitely the conversation a few years ago.
My War hit this conversation, I'd say, starting in the late 90s into early 2000s, when not just punk and hardcore people started really referencing Black Flag,
Yeah.
but heavy music like stoner rock and like heavier rock started going, oh no, what Black Flag did with My War and Slip It and going forward, they really helped define heavy, hard guitar music.
Yeah.
I think it's fallen out of the conversation just a touch.
I think a fair amount, honestly.
Because it's so, I feel like Black Flag is such an omnipresent name that, much like I felt when I was very young getting into hardcore, I felt like it was so present that I didn't connect to it in a personal way until I was a little older and went, oh, this is why these records are good. Yeah, like I get it. And
I mean, you knew the symbol before you knew the songs.
I don't think a soul alive after 1985
Right.
could argue the other.
Yeah.
Sure.
But I feel like if there's some people who will tell you Nervous Breakdown, that's their best. It's 4 songs. If you listen to those 4 songs,
You get it.
great. But then that singer goes away and is on nothing else.
Right.
And then Jealous Again is a really good, like, I would argue that's the best snotty American punk record.
I mean, Rollins is the worst Black Flag singer. Is that a fair?
Tough to say, because I think
me,
he's so...
I think he's the best by a wide margin.
I love his personality stuff so much, even though some of it is really off-putting, but it becomes such a defining thing, like we talked about on an episode that might come out after this or before, Roger's vocals being such a defining piece of Victim in Pain. I feel like Rollins' personality and vocal styling from My War on, and even on Damaged, like when I like Rise Above, there's versions of that before Rollins, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
But I think Rollins singing that, you know?
Sure.
I go
I would
on.
take Keith. I would take.
I think
and
Keith,
Chavo.
my order is Rollins, Keith, Chavo,
And then Dez left.
Des last. But those three are
Where's
really.
Mike Vallely in that?
Yeah.
What's the record called? Like
Like
Green Puke or whatever
Yeah,
it
yeah,
is.
like
sticking up
What
your butt.
the? It's
Yeah,
called
like-
What the.
right.
With like an emoji face.
Yeah.
What the?
That is the ultimate troll. Is people who are like, no, it's a good record.
You know what? I've never heard it. Maybe
I
it's
would
great.
Neither.
You know what though? Watching
Listening
them-
party on that record.
Yes.
Fuck.
I would watch them. Well, he wasn't even on that.
Oh, who was?
who is
That
it?
was Chavo.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
And then they kicked him out. Or was it Ron Reyes? Who's Ron Reyes? Is Chavo?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it makes sense.
Does, yeah.
They kicked him out, and then Vallely, who was in the opening band,
Right.
and then joined
Right.
Black Flag.
Skate Rats or something Rats.
Something along those lines. I wouldn't necessarily hate seeing Black Flag songs with that dude singing. I don't want to hear him write Black Flag songs.
Okay, so let me give 2 quick ones on this. Rollins did the West Memphis 3 tour, and he did all Black Flag songs. Did you see that in New York?
Yes.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
It was fucking
I
incredible.
mean, it was a Rollins band.
It was
with
Rollins, and he was doing Black Flag songs. He looked like you would want him, like
Yeah.
a crazy man. It was. If anyone has the video from that New York show, I would love to see it because I was going crazy. People were going crazy. It was awesome. About a year later, because that's 02, maybe 03, but it was right before I moved to California. Then in California, Greg Ginn does a Black Flag reunion benefit for cats, right? Because he did all this cat rescue stuff.
Sure.
They have a kind of round robin of singers, including Mike Vallely, who did all the like My War stuff. I think Dez did some. I think Chavo did. Keith did not. Keith and Rollins did
The West
the West Memphis
Right.
3 thing. I think Chavo and Dez and then Vallely did the thing with Greg Ginn. But not only that, it sort of sucked. I had friends who flew out to LA to see it from New York.
Whoa.
Well, I mean,
Because it was like,
makes
yo,
sense.
it's Black Flag. These
Greg Ginn,
are
man.
people with multiple Black Flag tattoos.
Yeah.
We're like, yo. It was at the Hollywood, the auditorium. It was at this big spot. It sucked. They also had the bass was all dubbed. There was
Oh.
no bass player. They had a fucking
They couldn't get Kira or Chuck?
sombrero on a bass amp,
Oh,
and it was all just there. So it was just,
and who played drums?
I think
Not like Chuck Biscuits.
no, it was someone. It might have been Bill, but I don't know. But it wasn't. It was
bet
like
you it wasn't.
it was the most. It was one of the shows. The shows I've walked out of where everyone had that malaise of when you walk out of a bad movie and everyone's kind of like
That sucked, right? Like, you
Yeah,
don't want to be the first person
yeah,
to say
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Everybody's got fucking bad stink face
Yeah.
on. Like,
But Flag now is awesome.
is it?
I think they're playing. You're playing that punk rock bowling. I think they're playing it.
Okay.
It's awesome.
Okay.
It's so much because it's Keith singing with Descendants, pretty much,
Okay.
okay.
I'll watch it.
with Chalk playing bass. It's fucking great.
I'm gonna be there, and you know I watch every band that we play with. So
I mean, you know,
It's
we
your
might
thing.
be able to watch it too.
That's right, maybe.
Oh.
So, anyways, Black Flag, Damaged is great. What bands sound like Black Flag? All right, Blast, right?
yes.
But take a lot more from. They take some from Damaged, but they take a lot more from My War, Slip It In, and go heavy. There's a lot of other bands that I think when you go heavier on the heavier rock side, take from that later era.
Yes.
Hope Con's got some Black Flag to it.
Sure.
Bars.
Bars. That band Annihilation Time certainly does. They had a lot of the Blast and Black Flag stuff. But there's not a ton, especially in the 80s, other than being like, oh, we're a fast driving punk hardcore band. Like, I don't hear a ton of Black Flag in like Negative Approach. I don't hear a ton of Black Flag in Minor Threat.
No, very little. But
It's more inspiration, you know?
right. Although a thing that Black Flag has over the contemporaries is going through rapid changes.
Yes.
At least 2.5 of which are considered iconic.
Yep.
Means that you can have. Firstly, that's a rare. Let me give credit where credit is due. Very few people have one iconic musical period. You know what I mean? To have two in the same band,
Yeah.
pretty impressive. But you're going to leave an impact on a number of different people. So Black Flag obviously has a lot of children. It's just that their children are not obvious. You know what I mean?
They're so
That's
fucking
correct.
weird. Yeah.
That's true. That's a
So
good
would
way to
you
put it.
say it's the Rollins era, and then the other era is just everybody else?
To my ear, 100%.
And you would agree with that.
Well, I'd parse it a little more. I'd say that Nervous Breakdown has its own energy, which is kind of this like the very first definition of American punk.
Right. No,
And
okay,
then,
so
then to Jealous Again, there's a slight, but that's a sound. And then you get the early Rollins era where it's that, but it's a little more driving, a little more straightforward. And then you have the turn at My War, where it goes more aggressive. You get a lot more scaling, a lot more like weird jazzy kind of influence, but it's still heavy. And they're trying to play heavier music.
Yeah.
Bluesy kind of stuff. And so there's kind of a 3-wave phase there where it's the early era, then you have the Rollins version of the early era, and then you have the late era. So they're undeniably an influential band, but we're having trouble pinning down like a record that I'd say to someone like, you need to hear this to know what, to kind of put 80 to 85 into perspective.
No, but you can. I mean, the flip side is you could grab almost any of them and get some perspective.
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true. Okay, so that's our Black Flag spiel. Do you guys want to dive in? Is there any other kind of misnomers we want to do before we say 5 for 5 here?
No, I think I've gotten all my. I've defended my position enough. I think.
Yeah. All right, Tom. What do you want to start us off?
All right, we're doing 1980 to 1984.
Yep.
Let's do it.
There's probably going to be some repetition here. How do you want us to do it? Just name them?
Yeah. Read your list. Yeah.
All right, so I got Minor Threat self-titled EP.
Okay.
Bad Brains Roar Tape. Negative Approach Tied Down. AF Victim in Pain. Circle Jerks Group Sex. That's my 5.
Tie Down is the LP.
Yes.
Yes. So you went Negative Approach LP. I went Minor Threat Filler, self-titled, which is what it's really called, self-titled. Negative Approach 7-inch. Bad Brains Rock for Light LP. Agnostic Front Victim in Pain. And the Faith Void split.
Almost made the list.
And my honorable mention, 7 Seconds The Crew.
Wow.
Okay. I've got Minor Threat Out of Step.
Yes.
I've got Negative Approach self-titled.
Yep.
I've got Rock for Light.
Yep.
I've got 7 Seconds the Crew, and I got Negative FX self-titled.
Oh, okay. So you threw some Boston in.
I did with a lot. Obviously, I also have the talk about Faith Void. It was my first iteration. I decided to go Negative FX because I think it has longer legs.
Okay.
I think that more things sound like that.
That's
today.
very true. I kind of used it as a cheat. So
Yeah. Agnostic Front, obviously belongs in there, just not mine. You know what I mean? And then there was a lot of other stuff.
Oh my God.
You could go Adolescence. You could go Poison Idea. You could go Jerry's Kids. You could go. I actually revisited the Reagan Youth record for this.
It's great.
It's really good. It's
a
really
great,
fucking good.
It's a great record that people don't talk about. Like, you never hear a hum about it in
No, not a living human being.
In straight hardcore, even when you go more punk hardcore, 18 records get listed before the Reagan Youth album.
For sure. And I think I'll take it over the Jerry's Kids record 100%.
I mean, think about Antidote, Urban Waste. There's a lot of those bands that kind of get.
Oh, yeah, that just sort of
And those
no
records
mention.
are fucking fantastic. Yes.
I wanted an opinion on Discharge.
Yes, and they were on my initial iteration, but it's tough.
Mine too, but I don't actually like them, so I cut it.
I like them a lot. I had a trouble, like it's the singles and then the Y 12-inch, and it's tough because they were super influential. They get name checked by many of these bands as being influential on them. They certainly should make a lot of lists because you want to talk about long legs.
Sure,
Jesus
sure,
Christ.
yep.
And a broader influence spectrum than we acknowledge in that kind of like the underlayment below the carpet of hardcore. So they
metal.
certainly
And I was going to say metal, yeah.
And
Metallica likes Discharge.
Right. And like every variation of punk, whether it's spiky, charged hair punk, whether it's fucking crust, whether it's fucking the like stadium crust, whether it's more modern hardcore, there's pieces that are being taken from that. So Discharge deserves a mention. I chose Faith Void because I didn't include any of the Boston stuff, despite the fact that Negative Effects and Last Rites have really long legs.
Shockingly, in a way.
Real influence on that stuff. There's a whole world of that kind of sound that I think cites them. And the Exclaim sound, but I just couldn't pick one record from that. I really love the FU's My America. Is it? Yeah, right. I really love Get It Away.
Well, that was
I really love DYS Brotherhood. I love that record. But
So okay, so you like Get It Away. Is SSD a T-shirt exclusively now?
it's tough because no, because
T-shirt plus glue.
They're T-shirt plus two
Plus,
or three
yes,
songs. Yes,
plus
like
glue.
they have a 7-inch worth of hits that people acknowledge.
Okay, yes.
But Get It Away is a very good 12-inch. The Kids is a good, not great record. And it's hard because the record is so fucking cool looking.
Yes, sure.
So iconic. It's hard because you get confused about it.
Yep.
Like that's part of the conversation for where a record cover is better than the music on
Right.
it. I didn't choose anything from Boston Sound. I chose Faith Void because I think you get Void. I think Void is influential on a certain strain of hardcore, but then definitely noise music. Shit that gets anything that got weirder, more angular. It ends up being an underpinning of that kind of shit. You
So
know?
Void is in the same space that I put the Flipper record.
Yes, absolutely.
Which
Generic.
which is basically for when a kid is into music, is into aggressive music, but has no friends. And
Yes.
does not be those bands don't last very long because these look.
Shout out to the Flipper 7-inch I sold to Henry Rollins.
Oh no shit. I'm going to say that the things like Boston, while I like
a weird one.
while I like the sound a lot, right? That was a scene and a crew and a group of
Yes.
kids. When you get into Void or Flipper, you know these people have no fucking friends, and you know that there's no scene that they could like.
The Void dudes were the weird dudes who hung around DC, but their music was so good and they were such a like powerful act that I think the DC dudes were like, well, we can't deny this band.
Right.
And
There's
Flipper
no-
was only friends with Butthole Surfers.
Yeah,
Yes,
that would be my
Butthole
guess.
Surfers
And Black Flag.
Yo,
Yeah.
Butthole Surfers, the OGs. Well, people don't talk about it.
No,
'Cause they think of that one song
Yes.
that they had to hit.
Pepper, good song.
And if you don't see it, like, yo, go back and see that Butthole Surfers were the OGs playing with big boys, playing with Black Flag, playing with
Yes.
all the old California punk bands.
This is a seriously
They were a
old.
golden
This is
voice
an old
band.
band. Yes,
Them and Meat Puppets, I feel like get overlooked in the
Oh, yeah.
OG punk.
because they were punk. The way we talk about hardcore adjacent, they were punk adjacent.
Right.
They really were.
You know?
Yeah.
because
they were
by
just on the labels.
by second
Yep.
record they were definitely playing country music. It's fucking great, but it is it's hard to wrap your head around. if
What
you're a kid.
Butthole Surfers record do you recommend?
People say locust abortion technician or whatever.
Okay.
And
Is that the big one?
No, the big one. I don't recall the name of.
Yeah. Whatever.
But that's the one that I think people name check. I don't think that's the one. I'd have to look, but there's one. There's one after that.
We'll get it on the playlist.
No matter how you slice it, it's a difficult band. You're not going to enjoy it.
I think that Faith also kind of had echoes of what was to come from the more melodic DC stuff that had a longer span. 7 Seconds had a really long run of influence, and I couldn't include them here, but I would have liked to.
And I think that does them a slight disservice.
What's that?
Being around for too long.
7 Seconds? Oh, yeah.
Very likely,
Yep.
yeah.
And
It's so daunting. It's like how you're talking about comic books before. It's like, all right, I'm like a young kid, and I'm like, well, where do I start? There's
Right.
14 records. And
Yeah.
And you know,
I've heard people name drop every one of these at one point.
Yep.
And with 7 Seconds, their most iconic records aren't streaming right now
Oh,
on
that's
Spotify.
Well-
Walk Together, Rock Together, and The Crew are not streaming right now.
Hold on.
Oh,
They
shit.
might be.
I've looked every iteration. They're not up there.
because
7 numerical, 7 spelled
Or
out.
spelled out. It's not there.
No, but there's another one. 7 no space.
Space seconds, it's not up there.
Okay,
It's
all right.
not.
Because I know that there's like 3. They need to get it
Distinct
together.
versions.
Yeah,
I know. And it's fucked up.
Need to get it
Who
together.
put those records out?
BYO,
Yeah.
which is in like purgatory. It's a problem.
You got an in?
I do.
We got to figure
I'll
it out
reach out.
because
We'll do
but
the
I
work
think
for them.
there's-
They belong
They
up
just
there.
need to get there. If Victim in Pain is tough to leave off because it's so instrumental in New York hardcore just as a sound, and then what New York hardcore has continued to mean
I mean,
and how
great
big
in
it
New
is.
York hardcore,
Yes,
yeah.
and it's like they define the sound. So, what did you? Okay, you chose Roar Tape
Yeah.
over Rock for Light.
Yeah.
Just personal preference there.
Yeah, probably. And it's just like, if you look at the fucking the track list of the Roar Tape, it's ridiculous.
It's unbelievable.
And I mean, most of it is on Rock for Light anyway.
Right.
But just to think like this was somebody's,
like a tape.
like, that's ridiculous.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah, read it because it's that good.
It's fucking insane. So let's see.
I heard it. This is Bad Brains Roar Tape was one of my first hardcore records, and I'm pretty glad it was. It also certainly shaped my version of hardcore and what I thought it was and could be, both for good and because it like certainly made it set a high standard. You know what I mean?
I mean, side A. Sailing On, Don't Need It, Attitude, The Regulator, Band of DC, Jock Calling, Super Touch, Shit Fit, Leaving Babylon. Side B. Fearless Vampire Killers, Big Takeover, Pay to Come, Right Brigade, I Love I Ja intro. Like, are you
Yeah.
fucking kidding me?
It's perfect.
Like, there's
Perfect record.
I mean, you cannot go wrong. I would have probably Rock for Light is just like a better recording and all that sort of stuff, but it's
Rock for Light. It's like to me, it's like the same meal. You just got a slightly upgraded version of it. Like
Yeah.
when you go and get the same meal, the meal you like all the time, but for whatever reason that day, that wrap just tasted so good. You're like, damn. And it was a memorable day. You know, like that. I love Rock for Light. Just has, I think it has maybe one additional track, maybe sub out one of the reggae tracks. It's just so powerful, and I just like the guitar tone a touch more on that, just a little bit.
and it's got Coptic times, which
Yeah.
I mean, you can't go wrong.
No. Anything that you think we missed out on? Anything else on your honorable mentions?
No, that was no
No love for Circle Jerks, huh?
No, I don't.
Group Sex is really close for me.
There
I
was
think
also-
that's really
Fucking
close.
so
It's a
great.
There was
And
also-
personally, though, that's
There was also a lot of debate in my household. Punk, hardcore. There was
Tough.
a lot of debate.
Yeah,
But
I try to.
it's
I was
Black
on the,
Flag.
I
It's
was
the
on
same
the
shit.
I was on the fence with Adolescence. You know what I mean?
Same thing.
I went
Like,
back and forth.
I just get. It's hard after 1981. It's really tough to make those distinctions until you get to like weird extremes. Like, I don't really want to call No Effects a hardcore band.
I'd prefer not.
No,
But they might have been.
they certainly were at one point.
Yeah.
You know, but Punk and Drublick, or like
the only
Lagwagon.
record I
Is
like by
Lagwagon, and it's a great record. Is Lagwagon a hardcore band? No. So it's like you have to get to the outer fringes. Adolescence. It's certainly a punk record, and there's a lot of people who would call it a hardcore record. I'm all good with it.
Okay.
85 to 89.
Let's go.
Who wants to go first?
Pat, start us off.
Okay. Let's see. Amoebics, Arise, right? Made my number one seed
With a
here.
bullet.
The Rites of Spring record came out during this time, '86. I think. Is that right?
Yeah.
Another Bad Brains record, I Against I, came out during this time, right?
Yes.
Now, here's where it starts to get... I said Slapshot, right, back on the map.
Yes.
But
The intro.
Slapshot could appear like 3 different times for my
Yeah.
list. I
There's
didn't
a couple,
do it,
yeah.
but it could. And beating out Sick of It All, Blood, Sweat, No Tears is the Fugazi record.
13 songs?
13 songs.
We can not even know it's a comp.
I counted it. It's
I'd
on my
count
list.
it. I'd count it.
Because I associate it mostly, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no. I mean, that's how you.
And
hear
it was- and it was
you didn't hear
really-
Margin Worker first.
And it was released as a compilation like that in 89.
Right.
wow, okay.
Fits in.
Because I almost went repeater, and then my house guest rightfully said, Waiting Room is on 13 songs. It's obviously the more iconic record.
Yeah.
And just those other like
You know what I mean?
suggestion. And,
It's a really good record.
Yeah.
For those of our listeners who we talk all the time about how we have a strange relationship with Fugazi that I think
Yes.
a lot of people do. 13 songs. There's nobody listening to this that couldn't find something that they enjoy in 13
Yeah,
songs.
you should.
they get
yes.
weird towards the end, but
Sure.
like those first like 2 or 3 records are just
Yeah.
unbelievable.
Great.
That's your 5. Good.
Yes, I have some
We'll get
obviously
into we'll get
mentions,
into
but
that.
I want to see if you hit them first.
Yes.
You want to go? You want me to
I'll go.
I feel like ours, me and Bob are going to match up a little more. I think.
I
Maybe,
bet there's a
but-
wild card on his end that
Yeah, I can
I
see
don't
it.
see coming.
Cro-Mags, Age of Quarrel. New York Hardcore, The Way It Is comp. Fugazi, 13 songs.
Okay.
Infest Slave.
That was a wild card.
Judge,
That
Bringing
is
It
the wild
Down.
card. That's less of a wild card.
That's a wild card. Infest.
That's a wild card.
That is a wild
But
card.
undeniable how big that
100%.
record is.
In retrospect, though. No, but I'm saying like
Oh,
I feel like
like
in 1980, when did that come out?
88. Yeah, off the disc. 88,
I don't think anyone gave a
89.
fuck.
It had its audience, and even like so from my friends who were older who were in it, and like it was. I'm gonna cite my friend Jeff D'Agostino, Jeff TDC screen printing, all that. He talks about hardcore. When he got into hardcore, like this is a dude got into hardcore 86, 87. Was into metal, like real ass metal
Yeah.
before that. As a kid, you know, he was always looking for. He got into hardcore because he's like, oh, this is faster than metal. This is more than metal, you know.
Right.
And the Infest record came out. It was like, oh shit,
This is faster than faster.
This is the fastest version of hardcore, but it was still hardcore, still recognizable. Taking cues from some of the Boston stuff, and an
For sure.
underrated thing that people don't
For
talk about is
sure.
that connection. Some people who get it, bands like Think I Care early did for sure. Like, yo, Infest was that shit on fucking meth.
Infest crossed out. If you don't hear the Boston in it immediately,
100%.
you're not
missing
listening.
out. Yes.
Yeah.
So Infest Slave, I think for a lot of people, but it wasn't like, yo, they never, I don't think they were supposed to do an East Coast tour that didn't happen, I believe. They really were, they played the Bay a few times. I think they might have played Arizona, but they never got out of California at large.
I would love to see like here's like the first 5 years of Infant or whatever,
Oh.
just to kind of see like they played 12 shows or whatever
Right,
the fuck,
right,
like
right.
you know.
Yep. So yeah, those and I had go do yours.
Mine is very New York centric because I was doing.
I
like,
know. I
June.
have a strong feeling that there's one that Bob and I did not say that
That's
could
gonna be
obviously make any list.
Yep.
But we opted not. Go ahead.
So I had Age of Quarrel,
Okay.
Yes.
Killing Time, Brightside,
Okay.
Oh, yes.
Easily. Yeah.
Sick of It All, Blood, Sweat, No Tears.
Yep.
Judge, Bringing It Down. Leeway, Born to Expire.
I thought there was no chance that Leeway didn't make his list.
I'm glad that it did. I wasn't sure. Can I throw one out that didn't make any of our lists that I feel for some people this is criminal, and at some points in hardcore it would have been crazy not to put it on there. Gorilla Biscuits Start Today.
I was just thinking that would be my extra. That would be my sixth.
I looked at the Revelation stuff and said, all right, I'm more of a We're Not This Alone guy, but I would have picked you today, Break Down the Walls.
Same.
For this list. I love Start Today. I like Start Today more than Bringing It Down, but I picked Bringing It Down because I thought the influence it has been more impactful in more ways than Start Today. And I used The Way It Is comp as a cheat.
That's a good
Total cheat.
I noticed that. yeah.
But it's
It's a good move though.
it is a
Giant,
crazy
hugely
record.
impactful.
Yo, it's a fucking crime, and everyone at Rev, I'm mad at you actively. I actively think about this on a weekly basis that record is not up on streaming platforms. Why is that not on Spotify?
That's crazy.
What is wrong with you?
Is it 'cause you think it might be because of the bands?
No, I don't know why. They have records by almost all the bands on it. Literally everyone except YDL and Nausea has appeared on other Revelation stuff. Get that record up.
Yeah,
And Crackdown, I guess.
and keep that shit in print.
Yeah, well, I think it is in print. But anyways.
There's one that I think is more, or I shouldn't say more. It's as influential as anything we've said. It's just not necessarily anybody in this room's go-to. Is the Napalm Death record.
Scum.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Crazy important.
Yeah.
And like most people, I like half this record.
I mean, that's more important literally than any record on here.
It's at least as important.
It was. It's really big. It just veered into a different world that I just think. I don't think that. And correct me if I'm wrong. I think there's students of that game who go, "Oh shit, this is that important kernel."
Yeah.
But just in the same way as there's kids who listen to hardcore now who don't know about Negative Effects, say, or who like a lot of things but don't listen to Negative Approach or the Bad Brains. I think there's people who listen to like extreme metal who don't listen to Napalm Death.
Yes, for sure.
And aren't even familiar with it or know the impact it had on punk, hardcore, and metal in a big way.
I'm going to talk slightly out of my ass because it's not my world, and I have learned from doing some research on this and some of the lists that I saw that were fucking woeful.
Yeah.
That sometimes people that are way out of their depth shouldn't fucking talk. But
that being said, here I go.
Let me jump in the deep end.
Yes. It does seem clear to me that if you are maybe younger, but not necessarily, it doesn't necessarily have to do with age, and you jumped into extreme metal in its highly drum-triggered, sampled, very clean recordings, then Scum is going to sound like a nightmare to you.
Yes. I mean, that's how I feel about a lot of people younger or just new or newer listeners, new ears we'll call it, who are into hardcore of the modern variety, do look at certain things from the 80s.
And you hear, like, Can't Close My Eyes. You're like, what?
Dude, not even Can't Close My Eyes, because that's such a garbage recording. But, like, there's people who think the Bad Brains have bad recordings.
See, I don't think they ever sound of their time. I feel like, that's why I would go for Break Down the Walls over the other ones, too.
Yeah.
Because, it's good, like quality recording, all this sort of stuff. I feel like Bad Brains, you never put it on, you go, wait, what exactly is happening
I
here?
don't think that either.
Maybe
but I know
older.
there's kids.
Yeah,
I know. Because think about it. Like, I was having a conversation with someone about this. Like, even you go back to the late 90s, there's a lot of records where you put it on and go, oh boy, we've had quite some innovations in mastering and mixing since that time.
But I mean, if you think about, you hear Age of Quarrel, sound-wise, but then you also, Can't Close, all those records were around the same time.
1986, that record and Age of Quarrel both come out.
Right. So how...
Oh, Age of Quarrel, actually, Can't Close My Eyes came out in 85, yeah.
Right, but still, I mean,
it's crazy.
That it's like, how the fuck...
I noticed this most in the mid-90s, late 90s era that we're going to be looking at. There is things that existed at the same time that if you asked a person, could you tell me, and they knew nothing about it, and I just played it for them, I'd say, could you guess when these were from?
Oh, yeah.
They would put them 15 to 20 years apart. You know what I mean? And that's that's fucking wild.
It might be on your list, so I won't talk about it. But
last thing I'm gonna say, I forgot how fucking old Madball is. That is that I don't know.
Ball of Destruction comes out 89.
Yes, and I don't know who was in that iteration of the band. Blah blah blah. But that is
Roger,
right?
Yep.
Stigma.
Will Matt Henderson? No,
I don't think he was in it yet.
Not yet.
So
it's literally AF with him.
Right.
Yep. Yeah.
That's insane though. 89.
Honorable mention on my list that I didn't mention. I mentioned Break Down the Walls. I mentioned Start Today. Uniform Choice, Screaming for Change.
Okay, yeah.
Had a big influence. I think it's waned a bit, but similar to 7 Seconds, just really big for that kind of sound.
Absolutely.
You did not chose Rites of Spring over Embrace or any of the other DC
I did,
stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think Rites of Spring. You can draw because. So spoiler alert. I chose not to put some of the more iconic Screamo records in
Moss Icon?
In the later era, like 90 94.
Oh, right.
I didn't include those But my concession to that is that I think that those draw a line directly to the Rites of Spring.
That was what I was going to ask,
Right.
was if you're feeling the influence there.
And you go Rites of Spring over Embrace.
I mean, I probably connect emotionally with the Embrace record more.
Yeah.
I really loved it. It's like, to me, it sounded like a slowed down version of Minor Threat, which is kind of what I needed
What you
at that
wanted,
point in
yeah.
my life.
Yes.
But this Rites of Spring record is just an
Yeah.
incredibly well done piece of music.
Can I say this? I think there's people, I love the concept of Rites of Spring, but since I was 16, have never fully connected.
Not like Embrace.
Do you go in
No.
with One Last Wish?
I think One Last Wish connects better.
Yeah.
And I think I wouldn't include it in this because it's kind of this weird afternote, and I don't think people even knew it existed in the
it
way.
was also, the release date was late.
Yeah.
But you know what it is? Here's the parallel. That's my Rival Schools.
That makes sense.
Where Quicksand more important, you know.
Yes.
I mean, obviously,
Yeah.
but like maybe there's just something that hits your ear a little bit better.
Yeah. I think One Last Wish is something I'd recommend people who think of Rites of Spring and go, this is something I want to like more than I actually like. Check out One Last Wish, and you can back into Rites of Spring a little easier
Yeah.
through there.
What about Palehead?
I love Palehead.
I love Palehead. I wish someone would cover Palehead.
Love Palehead.
Oh, that's an interesting idea. The only thing I want to ask you this:
Yes.
Cro-Mags Edge of Quarrel,
Yep.
the most important record that feels weirdly not both influential, but you can't hear the influence as often as you would think, given the way people talk about it.
Yeah, I agree. Like, there's no band you're like, yo, this is a fucking like no one's
For sure.
But I feel like that's the same thing with Bad Brains.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Easily.
I mean, Cro-Mags are close to Bad Brains, but not exactly.
No, you can look at Cro-Mags and go, "Oh, I can hear some of the Bad Brains influence," but it's not.
I do very
ripping.
loudly.
Yes,
Like that's where my brain goes immediately.
Quite honestly,
But-
I hear more Best Wishes in
Oh,
bands
yeah.
than I do
Yes.
Age of Quarrel.
Yes.
Well, I think that's
like,
the yes.
if you listen to Power Trip or if you listen,
Yeah.
you know what I mean, like stuff like that, I feel like you hear more Best Wishes. Maybe not by intent. By intent,
Sure.
I feel like they would go like, no, Age of Quarrel is the go-to, but I feel like you can hear that more
more in the crossover
in
stuff.
Iron Age and in Power Trip. You hear more. of
I
that
think
to
those
me.
bands would say that. I think that then you get into some of the more heavier stuff of the last 10 to 12 years, and they might even cite Alpha Omega.
So whoa.
I know, which I think is dog shit.
So
but
here's a crazy thing. When Tom said it's possible that Scum is more influential than anything
Yes.
on this list, I balked for a second and was going to say Eye Against Eye, but you just proved the point that nobody sounds like that. You know what I mean? Like
Right, you can't.
Nobody.
Nobody's listening to fucking Mahavishnu Orchestra and then writing a hardcore song.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I
Like
think-
that's, you know.
I against go ahead.
No, please. No, like they have like jazz fusion.
Yeah.
Like, but like legitimately. Not like we're trying to like that's what they did.
Yes.
Yeah.
Other people were trying hard, but like those dudes were legit listening to like fucking like Stanley Clark and being like, this influences us.
Yeah.
So like there's no way you can recreate that unless you literally go to their their influences and try to make it. And guess what? You're not four black dudes from DC. You're not going to do that. There's no way.
No.
I do think that Eye Against Eye had an influence on New York and California stuff, and like they added groove into hardcore in a way that hadn't been there necessarily before that.
Which is like I think the jazz fusion part. That
Yes,
like,
the jazz fusion.
But, like,
but they
they
straight
got
it.
it
They're
through-
not pulling it. Yeah, exactly. They're pulling it from Bad Brains, so they're getting the secondhand version, like what Bad Brains did with that influence, and then they're doing the third hand.
Yes,
you know what I mean.
100%.
So that record's like, fuck. I can't. The Bad Brains are a band who are hard to explain how important they are.
and how insane it is. It's just insane. Like
Insane.
it's just
Eye Against Eye should have been on my list, but I tried very hard not to put any bands in two different eras.
I mean,
Yeah,
you know,
true.
these records 82, 83 like legitimately no one's done it better since.
Yes.
That's a
We're
major
all
problem.
trying to catch
it's a
up.
major problem.
That's insane to
That's
me.
a large conversation we can have for another episode. But
Right. It's called genre ending because it's
I mean, it's really like everyone's done it great, but no one's done it as well as those four dudes in the 37 years ensuing, like between this and that. It's crazy.
I've said this on this podcast. I'll say it again. That is my sincere conviction with this Amoebix record.
Yes.
It is.
really good.
This ends that genre. If somebody was just a fan of that record and nothing else in the quote unquote genre,
You'd be good.
total forgiveness of that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm right there with you.
And that's kind of what I think my hope was for this was that maybe, like I have to assume a lot of people who are listening to this are pretty familiar with a lot of the stuff we're talking about today.
Sure.
Yeah, we're not really going out on a limb.
No,
on
we're not
anything.
getting too crazy.
This isn't about this.
No.
This honestly, for everybody listening, this is conversation about stuff that you, to be totally honest, I'm sure you know the names.
Yes.
You likely have given most of it a shot. You're definitely going to find some holes that you know the name well, but you've never actually listened to the record. That's going to happen a lot. Yeah. But this is not the quarter bin version. That We're not trying to stump anybody here.
No, we're trying to, but we're hoping maybe you hear us talk about one of these and go, yeah, you know what? I never checked out Napalm Death, or it's been 25 years since I did, and my musical spectrum is broad, and let me go back. Oh shit!
Yeah.
Same thing for Amoebics.
Right, and we all have bands that like we could, in our time of hardcore, that could be like, yeah, I mean, I would go fucking like the Dark Side 7-inch.
Sure, yeah.
But like,
Yeah, but why do that? And
I mean,
I think it's,
I could have come up with 5 that were influential to me in 1992.
Also,
that
so 3, maybe 4 years ago, I listened to the Dead Kennedys for real for the first time. Right.
Okay.
And actually, whenever I was on tour with Title Fight, Ned and I we both sat down and said, what is a thing that we
missed?
And we both agreed that Dead Kennedys were just a vague notion that we understood. You know what I mean?
they were a logo.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
And like maybe we heard a song in somebody's car, but it's like, that's our punk
Holiday in
friend.
Cambodia, got it.
Right.
Yeah.
So we did a deep dive on
Good.
it on that tour. Now here's what I'm suggesting for our listeners is I guarantee that if this offers you nothing else, you are going to have one of those where by virtue of 3 people sitting around talking about a thing, you feel motivated to
Check one.
to check it. Yeah.
Check one. Dead Kennedys, Fresh Fruit for Rotting Vegetables. Another one of my first 4 records. Crazy.
I honestly
That and
I
Rotates.
connected
love
with
it.
so little.
I feel like Fresh Fruit, you have to be young. I feel like if you have a lot of it before that, if you have a lot of hardcore or aggressive music before Dead Kennedys, it can strike you as a very weird thing.
I mean, it is undoubtedly
And
weird.
his vocals are very like.
The performance, it's sort of
Yeah,
And that's why, I think if you hear it when you're 15,
Theater.
15-year-old Bob was so psyched, and I
Sure.
am now. But if I didn't hear it till I was 25, I would be like, ooh.
I think I like Plastic Surgery Disasters. Is that the one?
There was
I think I like that
a
one.
friend of mine tried to argue that the Dead Kennedys were better than Bad Brains and tried to do side-by-side albums.
False.
Yes.
Does his friend do drugs?
And, yes, he does, actually.
All right. Well, System of a Down, I think ripped off singing. The singer sounds like Jello.
You know what?
I don't know if it's intended, but it really does.
It makes total sense to me.
What that I'm talking about, like
How old is that guy, do you think?
System of a Down, dude?
40?
Yeah.
Old enough to like Dead Kennedys.
Is he definitely?
I'm going to say, I'm saying closer to 50 than 40.
Yes, so am I. Are we saying that, is he a Glendale Armenian or is he like...
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
so
Glendale, maybe Arizona.
so entirely possible that Dead Kennedys were totally
In
an
the
influence.
absolutely in the wheelhouse.
he's 51,
No shit.
born in Beirut,
Born in Beirut.
Oh, wow.
Beirut, Lebanon, origin Los Angeles, California.
What's Serge?
Serge Tankian?
Origin, Los Angeles. So his family was over there or something? Yeah.
I guess I don't really know how to read that.
Yeah.
It probably
All
means
right.
that he came over when he was
All
2.
right. Ready to go 90s?
Yes, please.
Oh,
Yeah.
90 to
Here's where it gets
94.
tough. This is the one where I'm going to be annoying because I have way too many.
That's fine.
Go in.
I'll start us off.
Okay, all right.
Inside Out, No Spiritual Surrender. Integrity, Those Who Fear Tomorrow. Earth Crisis, Firestorm. Unbroken, Life, Love, Regret. Quicksand, Slip. Patrick.
A lot of crossover.
Same.
Damn.
So, Firestorm, 100% undeniable. Inside Out, 100% made the list. Quicksand, 100% made the list. I went with 108 Songs of Separation. That's a personal matter.
A record I like more than Unbroken. I just
Right.
feel like it was...
So Unbroken made my honorable mentions, or I should talk about, but I hate this record. I really
Same.
don't like that record at all.
You gotta be the fan. So
Yeah.
And I put a record that I loved as like a young guy. I put a Veiled Dixie.
It's a great record.
And I don't revisit it often now, and I bet that the later material probably has aged better, right? I bet that the record after this has aged better.
what's the record after this? 4 a.m.
4 a.m. and then on the
Over the James.
Over the James, I think.
I don't
Yeah.
know the last time I heard Over the James.
I don't know
Great
either.
record.
I don't know either. But
Well, they'll be playing it at their reunion show
There you go.
that we're not going to because it's sold out.
oh, well, is
They're
that
playing
right?
New
Sold
York,
out?
so we'll see.
No, I know. They are.
But
They did, well,
I know for a fact I know the date.
oh, wow.
It was near Patrick's old apartment.
But Avail, I think that one. do we want my honorables? I don't think any of them are going to make.
Save
your list.
honorables.
Okay.
Save them.
Actually, one of them is like important. Go on. Go
All right,
ahead.
so,
Tom.
all right, so I went burn 7-inch,
Oh, so good.
Made them honorables.
honorable.
Inside Out, obviously, Quicksand Slip,
Yep.
Life, Love, Regret
Yep.
by Unbroken, Sick of It All, Scratch the Surface,
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Made for sure.
You guys
Made my
can go in.
honorables. Yeah.
Life of Agony, River Runs Red,
Okay.
and Firestorm. Those are like, it's 7, but
Yeah,
1, 2,
close
3,
enough.
4, 5, 6. Yeah, so those are my honorables and my.
Okay. My honorables, Bastard Wind of Pain. Big.
Yeah, you love this.
Considered, and it's considered like the Japanese Age of Quarrel.
Yeah.
You know. Super Touch, The Earth is Flat. Citizen's Rest, A Light in the Dark, 7-inch. Burn, self-titled 7-inch. Los Crudos LP.
Okay, so this was a matter of contention for me. Is that actually a good record, or is Los Crudos just a good band?
That is their best record. It is a good record.
They were my example of a band that I don't think
They are
has a
very
record.
tough, and that's why I didn't put it, because
Right.
I don't think they have just a record. I think they were more of an entity.
Yes.
The discography came out in 99, and I think people kind of attached to that. But this is their best record.
I feel better because this is the one I agonized over, being like, that's undeniably important, and I don't think there's a good record.
And that's why it didn't make my 5, because it's like it was very good, but it's not like definitively no, this
Right.
is the record, dog. And my last honorable mention, Strife, One Truth.
Oh.
Could totally make a many lists. I said Born Against deserved a mention, and then I put Man is the Bastard, but not because you're going to catch me listening to it. You know what I mean? I think that this is because The Brutality Continues is the one, right? Or
Yes.
is it? Or
I think it's.
or do people care about the splits? This was an argument that we had in my house.
This is the hard thing.
Okay.
It's because they don't have.
This was Penny who was over it yesterday.
He says it like his house, like he's got a house of learned men,
Yeah.
like discussing hardcore. It was
No,
one guest.
or I've got my children around me, and
Like,
we're
you're arguing
talking
with your mom
Yeah.
about.
Pat Jr., Pat the Third. Let's
Yeah.
discuss.
Yeah.
Could you do that? If you have children, I want Pat Jr., Pat the Third,
Oh.
Patricia, and then little baby Frankie, and that's his full name.
There's no
It's little baby Frankie.
There's no question that my wife would definitely leave me, and then I could just rename the children whatever I want. You know what
That's
I
the
mean?
move.
So there we go.
I got a text.
Rebrand.
Just funny.
Yeah.
Not related to anything. Well, it's related to this podcast.
It's related in general.
My friend Mikey from Long Island.
Shout out, Mikey.
Who I always like to tell he
Shoot out.
graded Natalie Portman's Regents. in
Oh, no
Long Island.
shit.
Yes.
Okay.
He wrote me, how do you not know what a bag of holding is?
Ah, nice.
So I said, because I like sports. And he wrote back, that's not an excuse. I said, I really had no idea.
It
what
is.
was.
It is a very.
It's a good
basic,
excuse.
It's a very basic D&D.
Yeah, I don't,
You
don't
know.
like. I know what
What's it,
Dungeons and Douchebags.
Do you know what a
is, that's it.
saving throw is?
No.
Oh man.
What-
I know it
what's
was a
the,
band from like Rochester.
Yes, it was. Do you know what THACO is?
No.
Okay.
A natural 20.
Oh,
Yeah. Do you know what a natural 20 is?
No.
That's a
Okay,
really
all right.
basic one. Okay. Of these records,
Woof.
Inside Out to me is a classic, and I know very few people who don't like the Inside Out record.
This crosses over
To
everything.
almost everyone.
Yeah, you just crazy.
Integrity,
You feel
Those Who Fear Tomorrow. You left it off your list, and you didn't have it on your list. did
No,
you?
which
Yeah.
is weird.
I thought the influence has grown, and it's wild how important integrity is.
So we're gonna. Integrity was, again, in my household.
Okay.
This was a major conversation that we're gonna get into.
We'll
Very
get into-
soon.
okay, good.
Very soon.
Because
And
I
then-
had one of their records on my
Okay. Yeah.
95, but
Oh, okay.
I dropped it because that was too many.
I think Earth Crisis Firestorm, I do not like the record at all. It's undeniable
Yeah.
how important it was and how influential it was. Is that the only Earth Crisis record you need? You don't have to spoil, but yes or no?
Yes.
Is it the only record you need for this list purpose?
Need. You could make a strong argument for Destroy the
Okay,
Machines.
we'll talk about
You
it in
could
the
make
next
that
section.
I'm going to go out on a limb right now.
Yep.
I'm going to say, this is going to sound crazy.
Yeah, please.
But Firestorm is probably one of the 5 most influential hardcore records
Not wrong.
ever.
I don't think it's.
Not
I
wrong.
think
You could say 5, but
I think in
it's-
1999, if you said that, people would be very mad at you. And I think that even people who dislike the record, like me, in 2019, why would you argue against that?
I mean, it's so important.
Yeah.
Like, it changed the sound of
Anybody that-
Changed the sound and created an ethical lifestyle piece that had been present, but brought it to the forefront in such an active, passionate way that you can't disassociate veganism from hardcore.
Right, like Dave is one of the few weirdos that's XVX that
Hates it.
isn't because of Earth Crisis.
Well,
right.
You know what I mean? Like he's a rare one. To be quite honest, with
it's
you.
rare, but even people who hate them won't deny how important they are.
Of course.
To the whole thing as a movement.
I mean, do you
and
think
just
they changed?
awareness?
Like they were big enough to have changed, like, you know, somehow like you can get an Impossible Burger at White Castle?
They're my thought. Go ahead.
I would never say no small part. I would say small part.
Here's the thing. Here's what I'll say. You know those movie scenes? It's like the start of like fucking Ice Age or something, where it's like, oh, the squirrel dropped the acorn, and it hit this thing, and it rolled and knocked it, and there goes the avalanche.
Yeah.
I believe that this is a band who put an awareness to something that changed a lot of people's lives.
Yeah.
Which then changed more people's lives and continued until things started changing. Wow, this is crazy. So even haters, you can't deny the importance.
Yes.
Of it.
Well,
You won't catch me dead listening to this record.
No.
But it's a record that's really big, and like, if you want to know hardcore, you should listen to this record at least a few times to get to know it.
Yeah.
And to what you said about kind of having a larger ambition in terms of educating people or whatever. So that was present. You could argue, like Youth of Today, you could say there was...
Minorly, yeah.
Right, but it's so diffused and diluted. And then you have to...
Oh, and I mean, like, dudes like Ian and Fugazi were vegan and straight edge. You know what I mean?
Right, they never made it,
But then you've got to go to Crust. And then in Crust and Anarcho, you've got... It's all telling you how to live. It's all... But... What Earth Crisis did, and this is where I think it's important, obviously not the first fucking punk or hardcore act to have politics or to have an ethical...
Not the first
sort of
vegan
Not the first metal vegan straight edge band.
but the one to
either,
break through.
But the one to make it okay for clean-cut kids to have politics. You didn't have to be willing to
true.
die in a gutter to have politics
that's a good
anymore.
point.
You could be middle class warrior on the weekend, and that's what some people hate about this band is that it feels less committal than Amoebics. You know what I mean? Like
because you don't have the eye tat and black clothes every day.
Right. You're not totally alienated from society. But I think that this Earth Crisis would probably never intend this, probably doesn't want to cop to this. I honestly think that if it had that snowball effect, that sort of acorn that falls in the snow, it is the fact that it was a middle-class, normal sort of, you get to have these divergent thoughts without being a total fucking outcast.
So, and there's a couple things that I think the thing you said there was perfect. That you don't necessarily need to be wearing a fucking leather vest or like fake leather vest or fucking spikes.
Yeah, no butt patch.
To be anarcho, to have divergent thoughts, to think against things. I also don't think they get credit, and it's not like I'm an Earth Crisis fucking lyricist guru, but for the most part, they bucked a trend, as a lot of the bands I think that stand the test of time do. They weren't singing too hardcore about hardcore.
Correct.
They weren't singing in genre. And that's a fucking... If you want a cheat code as a band,
Please.
Nobody wants to hear your song about the scene bully from 5 years ago. Look at the world at large that you're fighting against and think big.
And I think this record sounds quaint comparatively.
Yes.
Like this would be like a Chain of Strength record compared to what goes on today.
Yes.
That's
for sure.
100% true.
I 100% that's true. I think I've said this about 108. Earth Crisis is in the same boat. These are bands that whether they loved hardcore. No mistake. The Earth Crisis dudes are actually weirdly students of the game.
Yes.
You know what
Yes.
I mean? But they believed their bands to be bigger than hardcore. And
I don't know if that was the initial intent though.
No, never.
But I think they believe their band to be bigger than hardcore in what they were singing about.
Right.
You know what I mean?
100%.
But that in part is maybe why they are bigger than hardcore.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So
And I mean, I think look at how many bands who have gotten big are singing about shit that's fucking, some dumb bullshit.
Sure.
Nonsense,
Some fucking stabbed in the back stuff, Okay. 95 to 99. Tom, you want to start us?
All right, I'm going to be annoying on this one too.
please do it.
All right, should I read all of mine and we'll just go from there?
Do the five. Do the five.
and then-
See, that's the problem. I don't really have fun.
Do a close to 5, and then we're going
close
to kind
to
of
5, and then,
commiserate
yeah.
on the
Yes.
honorable mentions.
Okay. One Away, Threefold Misery.
Okay.
Madball, Demonstrate My Style. Marauder, Master Killer.
Wow.
Lifetime, Jersey's Best Dancers.
Ooh.
Hold on. What year was Master Killer? Anybody know?
95.
95.
95. Okay.
How many is that?
I think you're at 4.
Yeah, 4.
Okay, and then I would go. I'd probably go Destroy the Machines.
Okay.
Interesting.
And I have 1, 2. Oh no, I take that back. I take out.
I think I know.
Okay.
which
Destroy
one.
the
think I know
Machines.
which one, yeah.
Satisfaction.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, okay.
we saw that one coming.
That's a little band called Hatebreed.
Yeah, I was like, oh my goodness.
No, that should have been number 1.
But this era for me has the most. So the way I
This
broke
was
it
a
down,
really difficult era. For me.
hard. The way I broke it down is, I have my 5, then I have my honorables. Here I just have 10 things, no
That could all be-
honorables.
yeah.
So
Because
go with your pick 5 and go.
okay.
That's why this activity is really hard. Is doing 5.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because you get
can
these
name 20
things.
bands, 20 records you like from that time period.
And especially because this is an era where Tom was in hardcore before us. You're
I'm
in the
old.
early 90s. But this is an era where all 3 of us are into hardcore.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
like there's weird,
So actually, there's emotional stuff going
Yes.
on here. But
personal resonance, etc.
I said integrity, humanity is the devil.
That was
Right.
on my honorables.
I think we discussed in our integrity episode that this is the one that kind of got the most visibility, even if it's not the one that we hear the most now
No.
in other bands. Then because I was going to say Systems Overload, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was going to say that because I like that record better, but that doesn't
Drags
matter.
a little bit, though.
It does.
Well,
But so does
and this
one. I think
record,
is
this
ass.
record, big release, big distribution on Victory, so it's
Yep.
easy
Their
to
first
get.
big record back,
Yep,
really.
Yes.
Oh, no, Systems was.
Systems was, but this was on Victory.
Yeah.
Crazy artwork was everywhere. Everybody,
just,
iconic.
just a
So-
sick fucking package.
yes.
Had that weird Bible that came with the record.
Oh God, we got to bring bullshit like that back.
Yes.
Okay. Do I want to cross over with other people's lists? Because things like Satisfaction have to stay on, right? They have to.
Yeah,
But
just give us the 5 you think. So what did you name already? You said integrity.
I'm going to say Snapcase, Progression Through Unlearning.
Okay.
I think that one really set sort of a, oh, you're not like this other kid.
we're gonna talk
You're
about
this.
the cult of Snapcase then and now momentarily.
There's
I
one
feel like
now.
they dropped off a little bit.
Well, the
membership
ones
might be at
now
an all-time low.
The ones now are the same people who were in that room then. They just didn't get out of their seat and they're upset about it.
Okay.
They're mad that the room's empty. Start yelling.
Here's a wild card. Converge, Petition in the Empty Sky.
That is a wild card.
Now, for
Hugely
me,
influential.
For me, going to shows in Boston around this time,
Mm-hmm.
that was the biggest fucking thing you could wrap your head around.
That's probably their most influential record.
So here was the debate in
That's
my
an
house.
interesting question.
This
What little baby Frank said.
you want to
my
hear
house.
something? You want to hear something crazy?
In the middle of our street.
There was the debate. Oh, but Jane Doe's bigger, and then
True.
immediately, but Jane Doe's not a hardcore record. That was the fucking big fucking.
I mean, it's 100% a hardcore record, but I get it.
But to the person that was in my house, that's an extreme metal record, and this is a hardcore record, and I see the argument.
I can see
I
that.
definitely see that. Even.
So
But I feel like this is the most you'll hear people rip off. The people that rip off Converge rip off this, and when Forever Comes
You
Crashing.
think because
Yes.
they can?
yeah,
sonically.
no one sounds
Yes,
like John.
yes.
No one, you can't do Jane Doe.
yeah,
Okay.
right. No,
It's
it's, not
impossible.
easy. So what am I at right now?
4.
7.
I'm at 4.
1. Pick one. Pick one.
Not putting 108 in there.
No, because
He picked Songs of Separation on that last list.
Threefold Misery is better.
I'm gonna say Shai Hulud, Hearts Once Nourished.
Wow.
I think it's.
I would have gone for the 7-inch, but I get it.
I think its influence is too much. There's a name I want to say besides it. There's a name I'd pick over it, but I just can't because I heard for 7 years I heard that melodic guitar
The
everywhere.
biggest hardcore bands, like outside, of, like
Yeah,
hardcore
not- yeah.
Jace bands, are all fucking Earthquake,
Yeah.
or
Yeah,
all
Shai Hulud.
Shai Hulud acolytes.
Yeah, devotees and the
Yeah.
And have been that way for 13 years.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You
it's
can
not
go
a new
back.
thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think,
of course.
Yeah.
and now
I think Comeback Kid would nod to Shai Hulud even. You know, like
Stick
there's
to your
lots.
guns.
Stick to your guns. Set your goals.
Ghost
all that.
Everybody in that
Inside,
world.
fucking yeah.
Everything.
A
okay.
Day to Remember.
Mine. Let me give you 2 I like, and then 3 I don't. Well, 2.5 I like, 2.5 I don't. His Hero's Gone, Monument to Thieves.
That was on
Oh,
mine.
okay.
Floor Punch, Division 1 champ, 7-inch. To the Half, Hatebreed, Satisfaction is the Death of Desire. Bane, Holding This Moment. Poison the
Mentions.
Well, Opposite of December.
Almost made my mentions.
It's tough because I hate Poison the Well.
Sure.
Undeniable influence. Came out December of 1999. So it literally sneaks in, and its influence is so much stronger the 5 years after, obviously. So
Yes.
I don't know that but it felt like a culmination of a world despite my leanings, I couldn't ignore.
Right.
The trust kill ferret world.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Did you have it in your OOs?
Yeah, I put it in my 2000s.
I only knew it because we've talked about it before, and I was like, oh, fuck.
It makes sense, yeah.
It felt like a culmination of all that stuff.
Seamless is very intrusive. Seamless,
Oh,
like the
the
ordering
app?
the food. Do you guys do Seamless?
No, I don't. No, I haven't gone.
Like I get
tons
like
of emails?
Seamless. Hey Thomas, it's raining. Order in.
Yeah.
Oh wow,
Yeah, yeah.
Fuck
that's some
off,
real
man.
heavy marketing.
The
So real quick on that, for my sister who's about to have a baby, I think this week, she got all this garbage for babies, like literally, like had a big shower. Shout out to my aunt and uncle who listen to the show. You guys are
Amazing.
great. I love you, Lily and Jim.
Shout out.
But they got a bunch of stuff. 2/3 of which, what the hell are you going to do with it?
Right.
Sure.
You know what I'm getting there? Big credit on Grubhub.
Nice.
Big move.
Something
yeah.
you can use.
Yes.
No one's
and
gonna
you're
want
use
to
now.
Yeah,
For sure.
So you don't know. Shout out, Ann. So
Yeah.
So,
you put a
so that
couple
Bane record made my honorable mentions.
Okay.
For sure. I think that if we're being honest, the Satisfaction has to make all of our lists. I just didn't do it because
just
I
is
needed
there,
to be
yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
Shelter Mantra almost
That was on
made
my
list.
That's on my honorable mentions.
I love it so much, but I was hard pressed to think of it being influential.
Sure.
I think Shelter.
sure,
I think.
yes.
I think I would make an
Yes.
argument that Quest for Certainty was more influential because it's I should have put in that early '90s because I love it, and I think they were influential in that. There's a bunch of people who are now a part of this religion who could probably point back to that.
No question.
100%.
So, my honorable mentions that reflect a little more of my personal taste. In my eyes, the difference between.
Okay.
Very big record, as we discussed on an episode before now.
Is that the first LP or second?
That's the first LP.
That's a good record.
Helped redefine the sound of they created a modern youth crew sound
100%.
that a lot of bands reference. In my second LP, underrated, maybe more listenable if you go back and listen to it. It's a lot of cues from the faith. Very
Okay.
interesting. Honorable mention that I don't like, Strife in This Defiance.
Sure.
That was on
So
mine.
Strife made both honorable mentions because that was a big band who I think One Truth is the record, but there's a lot of people who ride for In This Defiance too.
I prefer In This Defiance.
Right. I think it's I think it's split. There we go.
Or maybe the gray single. Or
Great
whatever.
single. Yeah, people like that. From Ashes Rise, self-titled LP, made mine. The first LP came out in '99.
Oh, really?
Yes. Great Steak Religion.
You go that over.
Over Nightmares.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Wow.
No question. I love and they I started seeing them in 2000 and just like couldn't believe it.
Like how
and
good these bands are.
yeah, and the Life's Halt Save Our Souls 7-inch came out on Youngblood, who were kind of thrashier, faster hardcore, but the record came out in Youngblood and it came out in a time frame where people who were into more straightforward hardcore were looking for something.
Right.
And this band provided this really fast option. And live, they were undeniable and led to a little wave of things. There was
Did
a
they ever
couple
go
other
on to
bands.
anything else?
What's that?
Did they ever go on to anything else?
The guys from Life's Halt. A couple little bands.
But nothing major. Like
nothing
it
major.
wasn't-
All local to LA.
What was Dave's band? No Reply.
No Reply, and he went to do Suicide File.
Right, but they were like kind of on that
They
same
did a split.
scene,
Yep.
right? Yeah.
Yep.
This
PCH
era
Club.
really
Yep,
demonstrates how disconnected I am from the more of the floor punch world. You
Sure,
know what I mean?
sure.
Because I went looking for the Life's Halts
Yes.
of this era.
Yes.
I went looking to be like, okay, I know I'm forgetting that.
Okay,
but
yeah.
it didn't even occur to me.
Yeah.
To think of like the floor punches and the did not
10-yard
occur.
fights
To
and
me.
the
It did not
guys.
occur. It
And
didn't
so-
even enter my head.
Because it was such a thing, but not upstate.
No, didn't reach
Which
me
is
on
so
any
funny
level.
because it's
Yeah.
like, One King Down went and toured Europe with Hands Tied and 10-Yard Fight.
Sure, yep.
Yeah.
Who are pillars of that world.
Yep.
But that sound didn't penetrate New York State very much. Didn't penetrate to Syracuse because that shit was still
Has its
going,
own
and
thing,
Albany
yep.
was kind of the same deal.
Yep.
But when you go to the 95 corridor, you couldn't escape it. It
Right.
was so fucking big. And I picked the 7-inch. I actually like the Floor Punch LP better because it's faster, but that's the 7-inch is the record.
So here's my honorable mentions that are kind of, is this hardcore?
Yeah.
Are you ready?
Go.
Firstly, I said the Spaz 25 to Life split is notable. just pay attention to
It
that
was
because it's
ridiculous.
so fucking weird.
And it was two completely different worlds, and it shows how different
Yes.
the worlds were.
Yeah.
Things were very cylindrical.
Yes.
Was that like a troll?
Yes.
I think a fun troll, yeah, 100%.
Although Hirax Max was into hardcore, like
Yeah.
very
shitty,
and into that kind of hard.
that's what I'm saying. Like he liked, like he was an indecision guy and stuff.
Ever hear the Hyrax LP?
No,
It's good. It's really good.
calling him Hirax Max.
Um,
Yeah,
Okay.
it's potato.
Here's records that had massive influence that
you couldn't give a fuck about.
no, that it's just hard to. You got to ask the question. Okay, but are those hardcore records? Sure.
Yes.
Dillinger Escape Plan, Calculating Infinity
Yep.
came out this era.
Is this hardcore? You guys answer that. Tom.
It's tough, man.
It's tough. That was probably the last time they were a hardcore band.
That's
We
like
played with them like in a
In
basement.
2019, I think people would say, yeah, Dillinger Escape Plan's a hardcore band, I
No.
think.
Yeah, it's tough though.
Nah, I think, yeah, for me at the time, I was like, nah, dog.
I mean, this was.
They were hardcore in
They were
in
hardcore
vibe
kids.
And,
Yes.
yeah.
It was-
and
I mean,
it's-
there was at least one member of Dillinger Escape Plan at that time who was part of the Morris County Youth Crew or
There you go.
adjacent to it. So,
There you go.
right. I mean, it's the equivalent of like thinking of like Bill being in Four Punch and in Endeavor.
yeah.
Endeavor was like a metalcore-ish band compared.
And he was in
to
Curb Jaw, and
Yeah.
there was a lot of crossover. And Zev was in both.
That's
Bill
what
was
I'm
in.
thinking of. Sorry.
Next up.
What about my? I can't get my honorable mentions.
Oh no, I'm just. This is
Oh.
this is my
Oh,
is
I
it
thought you were
hardcore list
Yeah.
Got it.
from the era. Hot Water Music, Fuel for the Hate Game.
Not hardcore.
Massive in hardcore.
Massive in
Massive
hardcore,
hardcore.
not massive in hardcore, but didn't necessarily have to have the tag.
No.
Was this non-core? This is non-core of the time. We just didn't have a word for it.
They called themselves a hardcore band. That doesn't mean much.
No.
But
But I mean, Avail's not a hardcore band either.
no.
But they're closer to hardcore than
Yes.
Hot Water Music is.
I think you can do a direct line from that 7 Seconds record to that Avail record, whereas I don't
that's
think
true.
you can do that with
Hot
Hot
Water.
Water Music. But I need to underline this for our younger listeners. Hot Water Music was so big in hardcore.
big.
Oh, wow,
that,
yeah.
That I think it might have actually had more influence than some of the stuff that we think is
Yes.
canon and needed.
Yes,
and
yes, yes,
you know what I
yes.
mean?
You're
So-
not wrong, and led to a bigger world of people who got into hardcore-ish at a moment, but then just stuck with the hot water music
Right,
side of
true,
things, and
yeah,
led
for
to
sure.
the Gainesville No Idea world.
And the next one, absolute scandal. Refused. Shape of Punk to Come. Also,
I think there's a lot of people who'd be mad that we don't mention this.
It's the most overrated record I've ever heard in my life.
Thank you.
I don't get it, dude.
okay. Let me give my complex feelings on this. Is it tacky? Undeniable. Did it age well? No. Was it ambitious for its time? I think it was actually. And is it a hardcore record? It's right on the line, man.
This dude owes Ian Svenonius, whatever, a fucking $1
A
million.
dick suck for
Ask me-
sure.
here, Patrick, I need you to ask me two questions.
Yes.
Bob, when's the last time you listened to this Refused record?
Bob, when is the last time you listened to this Refused record?
Maybe 13 years. Now ask me one more question. Bob, what do you think of this record?
Bob, what do you think of this record?
Sucks, dude.
Oh,
Give me rather be dead over this.
but I wouldn't. This is more fun. to
Give
me.
me.
Well, this is very DC.
Yeah,
This is very.
Give me Final
this is
Exit
a
over
bit,
this.
for sure.
Give me DS13 way over this.
But you also hate Snapcase.
That's true.
This is
You're right. This is Snapcase on meth.
exactly right. Snapcase. No, this is Snapcase on pretension. That's what this is.
This is like Snapcase meets the makeup.
All right,
Yes.
let's do your honorable mentions. Then I have two questions of the 90s, and we'll
right.
talk about the cult of Snapcase.
My honorable mentions are Destroy the Machines.
Yes.
Shelter Mantra.
Sure.
Yes.
In This Defiance.
Okay.
By Strife. And here's my outlier that's just for me. Mentally Vexed. Crown of Thorns.
Oh.
Okay.
Love that record.
You know what? Let's say that it definitely makes an honorable mention because of the influence it had on TUI, and TUI became the biggest
And it
fucking thing in
became
the
a
world.
thing. Yeah, I think that's undeniable actually at this point. Whereas before, all it takes sometimes is one band to really latch on and
Yeah,
really
sure.
like your sound and broadcast that with a big megaphone. Two questions. Is Quicksand Slip, which is one of my favorite records of all time,
Mm-hmm.
undeniably a hardcore record?
No, not at
I don't
all.
think so either.
Undeniably.
No.
no.
And I think that in 1999, if we're having the same conversation, if somebody's like, well, Quicksand Slip's one of the best hardcore records ever, I think most of the people in the room are like, are you calling that a hardcore record, dude?
Right.
Yeah, even
now it is though.
Even
Now
among
it
my
is.
even among my friends that were also going to Clutch shows, also
Yes.
going to like Karma to Burn shows.
Yes.
You know what I mean? That still wouldn't be hardcore.
No.
So
The hardcore's moved, and the as we talked about, the spectrum's grown. But like I love that record unabashedly. Like, I talk about Bad Brains, Rock for Light. I talk about Eye Against Eye. I talk about The Age of Quarrel. Quicksand Slip is there for me with fucking Led Zeppelin 4 and those records. It's that important and good to me.
Same.
That's okay that it's questionably a hardcore record. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like, and because it was a foot in the world and a foot out of the world.
That's why if
You know?
somebody had included Hot Water Music in this,
No.
despite the
Mad.
fact that we are all like, nah, it's not a hardcore record, we'd all go, okay.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's okay. And that's something things that people need to know. That's actually when we've talked about and referenced non-core, Drug Church, Gouge Away, Angel Dust, other bands in that's actually so fucking healthy and helpful to hardcore, because it's bands like that open the door for people to get into hardcore.
Proud gateway band.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. The Cult of Snapcase.
Yes.
People get big mad if you don't reference Snapcase as one of the biggest bands of the 90s.
Do they? Well, yeah, they should
I
be
mean, they
mentioned.
were.
Yeah, they should be mentioned.
They were. Were they one of the best? Some people will get big mad if you even argue anything against them, because they were super big, and they also were one of those bands who I think if there were 300 people at their show, there was at least 50 who were like, no, dog, Snapcase is the best band on earth.
Well, okay, let me, I'll field it from there then. Those 50 are the people that you saw at no other show.
Yes.
And that's why Snapcase has a very kind of mixed legacy, kind of a lot of bands that we're looking at today might be that. Certainly when you reach Turnstile's level of popularity, there's people that know Turnstile that don't know Turnstile's direct influences, might not
question.
even know TUI.
Yes,
You-
correct.
Well, 100%.
So that's
There's people who are seeing Turnstile and love Turnstile who don't know what Trapped Under Ice maybe is.
for sure. And so I think that that's kind of an interesting thing that the average Snapcase fan, I'm going to be charitable and say, was also at least interested in the Victory catalog,
Yes,
and possibly
absolutely.
the Rev, possibly.
Maybe, or like they went Initial.
Yeah, big
like that.
big core stuff where
Yes.
you got the catalog in the mail.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Let me say two charitable things about Snapcase. Of those 50, we said 50, you don't see them at other shows. I'm going to say there were 3 who you did see at other shows. They just were Snapcase devotees.
Yeah, that could be, yeah.
And they were in hardcore and maybe still are. 2, I actually think what is the next, their Snapcase progression through Unlearning, what's the record that comes out after that? That's like the hit college radio.
Manipulation or something?
Designs for Automation.
Yeah.
Design for Automation, I think actually gets overlooked, and I don't think it's an offensive record.
So I actually really like this record.
Yeah.
I think this record's good, and Designs for Automation is good.
You listen to it now, though.
Which one? This one?
Any of them.
This one I actually will
I
put.
can't.
I
I
will
can't
listen
fuck with
to.
it.
Really?
I loved it in the time, but now I can't even go back to it.
Oh,
Some really weird production value that feels so mid-90s.
yes, but also weird because
Yeah, it didn't, it had a very of the time and its own thing going on.
because the snare, which is famously bizarre.
The old piccolo snare.
You don't hear that anywhere else.
No.
You know what I mean? But I am not a member of that particular cult.
No.
But I do really like this record, and I think Designs has something to say for it. And I like whatever I guess Energy Dome appeared on Designs, whatever the fuck. But there's a couple songs out there that are Snapcase songs that are after this era that are good, but not.
I mean,
many.
that Steps EP is pretty great.
Steps is one I hear people reference a lot. Don't fuck with it.
It's very, that one to me is very nice.
You guys want to watch The Departed?
very sure.
Because we're shipping up to Boston.
Oh.
2000 to 2004. Tom starts off.
Yeah. 2000, 2004, Boston kind of had it on lock.
I thought so, and then I went in completely different directions.
Okay, so here's mine. One of these, you're going to have to just give me a mulligan on this because it
Sure.
came out. So I had Poison the Well opposite of December.
Yo, it came
It
out
was
the
literally
last
17 days before.
Yes.
2000.
We'll let you live.
Yeah.
American Nightmare background music.
Yep.
Bane Give Blood. Converge Jane Doe.
Okay.
Suicide File Twilight.
Suicide File Twilight was a very, very important record at the time. Not long. Didn't last long.
Had influence that I think is being felt through others, and we'll talk about it momentarily. You want to give your 5? You want me to give my 5?
Give your 5. Mine's going to make everybody mad.
American Nightmare background music.
Undeniable.
Converge Jane Doe.
Okay.
No Warning Ill Blood.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Tragedy, self-titled.
Yeah.
Mental, and you know this.
Interesting.
Wow.
Okay, so I don't want to repeat things that we've already said. American Nightmare. We also Tragedy. I put on the list. I don't think that our listeners that under a certain age understand how ubiquitous that Tragedy record was.
It was enormous.
Yeah.
It was enormous. We actually talk about that a bit. It was big in a way that everyone knew it, and everyone either liked it really or had to pay lip service to it.
100. You nailed it. Nobody said they hated it.
Nope.
It was just I like it.
You were seen as
Or-
a poser fraud if you didn't like it.
Correct. Okay. Lowest of the Low is one of the important Terror records, right?
Yup.
So this made
Definitely
my
in there.
list. You know what I mean?
So what do you got? What's your list? AN?
And because it's undeniable, I'm putting Terror in there.
Yep.
Tragedy, and then I'm gonna go for my metalcore bros. I'm going with Norma Jean, "Bless the Martyr, Kiss the Child," which I think is more influence on fucking metal influenced hardcore than almost anything on this list. How insane is
Wow.
that? Next up, a record that is not hardcore, not metalcore,
I know where you're going.
but should make the list. Glassjaw, everything you ever wanted to know about Silence.
I've never heard it.
I think I've told you you might actually
Yeah, I think you
like the
have
Don
told me.
Fury version. You
Okay.
will not like this.
Okay.
But you might like the Don Fury
Okay.
session.
Okay.
But you know why? Because you could make a.
Through line from Quicksand?
I was going to say if you took Quicksand and the non-challenging elements of Into Another and put
God, I
them on,
love
and put them on
seance
Long
elements.
Island
Okay.
And
Oh my
Burn
God.
and yeah.
and Burn. Sure.
Okay. Okay.
Mind over Matter and
I think I saw Glassjaw in this early era, like 2000, 2001 for sure, at least once or twice. All right.
they were a band. I mean, not
yeah,
correct.
no.
We played with them in 1995.
No
yeah,
shit.
they've been around
They were
for a
around
while.
for
Yeah.
They literally started in 1993.
Yeah.
And then, but so nothing, no love, no. Not even an honorable mention.
for
Most Precious
Nothing in
Blood,
vain,
nothing
bitch.
in vain.
Oh, I love the record. I've
not
gone.
stand
I've
up?
gone on record. It stands up great.
no,
How
and
much
here's the
influence
thing:
did it have?
Foundation, Incendiary.
Oh, Incendiary. Okay, fine. It makes my list. We
There you
can
go.
we can bump.
Take off American Nightmare. Just so you
No, I would say
You can proclaim
I'd go as
the
far to say though as
beef.
that was more influential than Indecision, and people act like
Yes.
as if Indecision was more.
Oh, that's for sure. Yes,
I think people got
Most Precious
into
Blood-
our ilk through that and then went back.
Yes.
for reasons that if I get into them, people will be mad at me. So we're gonna ignore.
No, and I
those.
mean, I
please
think
go into
that's
them.
yeah.
we're gonna
go
ignore
on.
those reasons.
Oh,
But I think that's true because I think Indecision was a band who had a big following, but then Most Precious Blood took all that and maybe doubled it. Am
Easily.
I wrong about that? No,
100%.
right? Like,
I mean, also that record came out 18 years ago.
right.
So kids that are like the elder statesmen of hardcore now, that's their record. They weren't around for fucking Unorthodox.
No, for sure. And it's kind of a poser move to say unorthodox. Not that it's a bad record, but I think Nothing in Vain is really just an excellent from front to back, which I can't say about the Indecision records. You know what I mean?
Probably not. Yeah, no, it's not.
I think Nothing in Vain is you can listen to the whole thing and it's great.
Can you talk about the photo that was circulating in our
Which one?
group chat?
You probably ignored
Of
it.
you moshing,
front?
you up front at the Indecision or at the Most
MPB
Precious Blood
show at Valentine's.
Oh, she can certainly talk about it. I appear to have a Spock haircut.
Well,
Yeah,
as you
Spock
referred to it, a
Rocky.
pixie cut.
Yeah, I have a pixie cut. I appear to have a pixie cut.
Spock cut is more accurate, I think.
Yeah.
The pixie cut.
You had neck tattoos then.
He had him very
Yes,
young.
18, yes.
Jesus.
My mother was out of the house. What do you want?
That's great,
She not a lot of control over the children. You know what I mean? She's working.
You had to set a good example for your siblings.
Yes, yes. So great record.
I feel bad that I politicked myself into the.
No.
No, I, think
mean,
he really forgot about it, and he didn't. That's one of his favorite records, and he didn't think about the influence.
I also include.
you might have.
That record, I think, became, and please correct me if I'm wrong, I think that record became so much more influential starting around 2008, 9, 10. Like Foundation, Incendiaries are the two I sampled, but I think there's a lot more of those bands, people who were looking for that hardcore, metalcore hybrid.
Right,
And there
you
wasn't
listen to
a
it
lot
now,
of
it's way more hardcore than anything.
Yes. Oh, God.
Comparatively.
Especially compared to
Yeah.
his other one, Norma Jean.
I can't, dude.
I mean, this record, our listeners are going to hit us in droves.
Just listen to Botch.
This is not the Botch record. That's the record after this. That sounds like Botch. This record is, even if people hate it, is as important to not me, to a kid
In general.
as Satisfaction. This is
Really?
satisfaction.
I think he's not wrong.
This is satisfaction to a kid 5 years younger than me.
so for
Christian only?
No.
No.
This hit a lot of people.
I think this hits.
big?
I
This
think
was
this hits
big.
kids in the 24 to 30 age really hard. And I don't.
Wild.
This is a band who I don't even associate this as being something that's close to the music I like. However, this is an effort in understanding hardcore and understanding the various branches it takes. So listening to this Norma Jean record would be an exercise in that. So if you're someone like me whose Age of Quarrel is the Age of Quarrel, listen to this with a ear of understanding, with not necessarily trying to like it.
From Dungeons and Dragons?
It
The
should
ear of understanding?
Yo, ear of understanding. Maybe we'll incorporate it then.
I
into our
cannot tell
campaign.
you a note from this. We played with them once at a pretty. I feel like I hate to do this when I go
Sure.
here's a story about me, but
No,
it's a story about me.
please.
A pretty well-known show in Nashville. They were called Ludacris
Yes.
at the time.
Yes.
It was
Luda.
it was them. This Day Forward, From Autumn to Ashes, Most Precious Blood, American Nightmare, Converge,
Right.
and
Fuck.
we got in a giant fight. Trey will be able to, if we ever get him on, we'll get him to talk about
He's
it.
dodging us.
He is. But there was a giant brawl. It was the tour that Wes was sick and couldn't sing.
Oh,
but he was
right.
on tour with them anyway. And it was that kid, Joe from that Love Lost But Not Forgotten sang
Oh,
for them.
yes. Wow, I blotted this from my memory.
Yeah,
I
and
totally
they did
forgot.
Big E sang a song or two, Jake sang a couple
Yeah.
of songs, Nate sang a song, and some drunk fucking dude from Nashville pulled the little guy, he was little, off the stage, and it just became a full on the three bands from the north just beating the shit out of everybody.
Wow.
This dude Memphis Chris, he's from Memphis. Beat some guy into the guy ran into a moving car, just jumped in through a window.
Go.
I just remember, this is the only real memory I have of it. Some dude, Trey had a guy down. And the dude was you give up, buddy. You lost.
Yeah.
And the kid tried to uppercut Trey in the balls.
Oh, not the move.
And he goes, Did you just try to hit me in the fucking balls? And the guy was, Trey hit him another time. This is 18 years ago or something.
Yeah,
so
we're
fine.
past the statue.
But yeah, the dude was out, and luckily he had it was Diesel Gene time.
Yeah.
So the punch did not penetrate the ball.
Oh, sure.
I know the tears are held in the balls.
Yes. No tears occurred.
No tears occurred. But it was a pretty it was a bit of a riot. And
Are we off the suicide watch?
Oh,
it
no.
seems it.
No.
You look brighter.
No.
I think
gotten
we're in a
Dark.
dark place. Yeah, we're in a dark space.
I'm
All
in
right,
a dark
anyways.
space.
All right.
Let's talk about Suicide File.
Sure.
Let's talk about them because that record was really big.
But
Bigger than the 7-inch ones?
no, I was when I
7-inch was really big.
Right.
The record, both came out in Indecision Records. I think the LP, was it?
the LP lost a little on the. It's not as exciting a record. It's
It's more epic.
It
It's more
is.
swooping and epic, and I think
Is this
it
the
gained
beginning
something.
of Amazing Core?
No, I mean the beginning is Bane.
Okay, got it.
But
I feel
this
this
was
was so
big.
influential because Modern Life is War kind of fed off this, and then everybody fed off Modern
for
Life is
sure.
War.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So my honorable mention, as
Mm-hmm.
you say that, is Modern Life is War, My Love, My Way.
Okay.
And a lot of people cite later,
Yeah.
but Modern Life is War, first 7-inch comes out, and I believe they played Posse Numbers 2003 on the first 7-inch.
Wow.
And they were a band who was like, yo, who are these folks?
Yeah.
And they toured hard on their first self-released record. They put that record out themselves at first. And like we talk about Albany not being in the mainstream
Yeah.
of the hardcore of the time, certainly not in the Posse Numbers outlook. Fucking what is the
Marshalltown?
Marshalltown? Not in there.
Not a tour stop.
But the record popped, and live they went hard as shit. So then My Love My Way comes out, and I think it was originally released on Martyr Records.
That makes sense. Yeah.
That also did the No Warning 7-inch. So that's a funny little label that disappeared. I think dude was from downstate actually. And they just were huge. And I think that they continued, and that was a really influential record too. And it's interesting citing Suicide File to Modern Life is War. That is a good comp. and I don't know which one fed into the other more so. Well, I mean, Modern Life is the Worst certainly didn't feed into Suicide File, but noting that, I could see that. I could hear that sonically.
You know what we missed big time? Now that I'm thinking about this, the 95 to 99 that we dropped the ball. Me and you especially. Bob, not as much. Me and you, till your heart stops.
Cave in.
Okay,
Fuck.
so here's the thing.
I would even go Jupiter.
Here's the thing.
Excuse me.
Man, that's definitely a good honorable mention at the least.
I did a tour with the kid from this Norma Jean record that I mentioned. His new band.
68 or whatever.
Yes, right. And the Every Time I Die tour that Drug Church did, and I talked to him about Norma Jean, but it was clear that he had been asked those questions a million times, right? So,
Onion rings.
so I didn't want to grill him too much, but I am fascinated by what those kids were borrowing from.
Oh, yeah.
The records after, because these were, I'm going to speak with a broad brush. I don't know them. These were Hicks, right? Metalcore Hicks.
Sure.
Yeah.
And Christians, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And I'm going to say that they sound more, on this record, they sound more like Until Your Heart Stops than they do like Botch. After this record, they
go Botch.
They go Botch. But this record has a lot of Until Your Heart Stops. Now, here's my question. Is Until Your Heart Stops more of an important metalcore record than this one? Even though that might be Roots, this reached
this is
everywhere.
probably bigger.
This reached everywhere.
Just because of reach.
Yeah. So,
Maybe.
But I would be
So
really curious.
Until Your Heart Stops comes out on what? Hydra Head?
Yes.
Before Hydra Head was Hydra Head,
Yes.
kind of, because that's one of the records that made Hydra Head.
It was Boston Hydra Head at that point.
The Norma Jean record came out on Ferret.
No. Solid State.
Solid State. Oh, so it had the Christian thing.
Yep. Christian bookstores were carrying this fucking thing.
Right.
I mean, think of how many times you're like, I want to listen to metal, but my mom and dad won't let me. But this has a positive
Yeah.
message.
What is the Christian? Was it? Not of this world. NOTW. Because that was a like sticker on
Yes.
shitty minivans.
Oh, yeah.
But also,
If you're driving through Arizona, you're going to see some Not of This World.
because I believe there was not of this world stores in the malls.
Makes total sense, yeah.
Like in Orange County, there were these it was like, oh, this is Hot Topic, but it's Christian.
But Christian, yep.
You know,
And you know what Bible stands for?
no.
Basic instructions before leaving Earth.
Yep.
Sure.
Does that really?
No.
I don't think so, but it's
I
pretty
like
great.
That. I really like that. I would have been more interested in reading the book. A band who I should ask you both, is grade important?
No.
No.
So
They're a name that got name checked at the time.
Yes.
I feel like, but I remember checking them out and being like, don't like this.
Same.
But were they're a name? They still get name checked. Not now, but they got name checked for a while. But there was never a record, right?
Well, they were like the OGs of the sing scream.
Yes.
Yeah.
First.
So
They're like the pretty
So
singing.
they're like
and
roots of that.
100%.
They're roots metalcore.
They are roots metalcore, but with 90s crunch, and they
Them and Boy Sets Fire.
right.
Yes. And Boy Sets Fire didn't have a
Perfect,
record on
yes.
here, and we should note how important they were. But I don't know that they had the LP. What's it? The Sun.
The Day the Sun Went Out is a great record. I
so
love that
Two
record.
songs on there that I like.
So here's the thing.
But that
Day
says
the
a
Sun.
lot.
Day the Sun Went Out. Could be you could sub that in for or sub Poison the Well out and put that in.
Sure.
It's just that Poison the Well seems to have slightly longer tendrils now.
I think so. And it had longer. Opposite December became a huge record. It was probably sold 5 to 10 times as much as Day the Sun Went Out.
D- But the follow up in Crystallis, I think it is. Is that right?
That's the EP.
Oh, is that right?
But then there's another one that was big.
Because
They did really well. They were a live on this band. And I mean, Boy Sets Fire, they probably fall. I think they were bigger than Shai Hulud. Or arguably-
So this is a tricky question because
Yeah.
you know how big they are in Europe, right?
Yeah, huge.
Boy Sets Fire, for our listeners that are American
Like
bound.
still. Like headlining festivals.
So a gentleman that I know from Germany, who great guy, he was their tour manager.
Wait, you know a great guy from
I
Germany?
do.
Wow.
Along with Trey, he was
He was a European.
yes, for Boy Sets Fire, and started his label on a Boy Sets Fire kind of, I want to say like basically like an afterthought record, like a live or a whatever, and that is now his career because the record did so well that he has parlayed that into record after record after record.
Yeah.
Often, not just for Boy Sets Fire, who still fill a big room in Germany, but for the singer's solo work,
Wow.
which also fills like. Let's say that Drug Church on that last tour was playing whatever 300 caps, right?
Yes.
This guy was playing the next day and selling out. You know what I
Yes,
mean?
yeah.
So that's not huge numbers, but to do solo 300 pack,
Feels nice.
It's a nice thing. If you could fill a 300 on just being a dude going around Germany,
Pretty good.
and all you got is a guitar, I should point out that if I don't get into his business, but if he's not being perfectly honest with the tax man, that's an extra nice little thing. And
He lives in Delaware. He doesn't even need to be that
oh,
honest.
that's true. That's true. But I'm just saying that the band does good numbers still. He can still fill a small room. In Germany, they are a thing. In the United States, they are not a thing. I can confirm, having done a show with them.
Yes.
But the
Which is crazy because they were relatively big
We're
here,
a
too.
thing. We're a thing.
really at a time. Yes.
And
Yes.
it's weird because I think if they had come 3 years later and hit their same peaks, they would have been really big.
Yes.
What was
Just the way the
they had that
landscape
one song
changed.
that was like Rise.
Yeah.
That was like the big hit.
Yeah, I hate that shit.
It's corny as fuck.
It's corny as fuck.
That
bad.
rookie song on the.
Yeah.
Never thought this could be me. Like, he's like crooning.
Maybe
It's
that's
great.
the one.
I mean,
Yeah. There's two songs
they
on the
were
record I really
talented
really
act. All that shit was for real. And Grade, in the same vein, you're absolutely right. These are OG sing scream bands. So like acts that followed immediately after, like From Autumn to Ashes, who then became
Yes.
big, owe them a lot.
Absolutely. But
and-
then they came out with that one that a year into the future, forever in the past, whatever grade, when they became like the just say like this is a time in my life. Remember?
Oh, I
like
don't
they-
know that one.
Yeah, that's their biggest song.
The last one I heard is
Becoming
under the
Under the Radar is the song, the
Under
record
Radar.
I'm thinking
Yes.
of.
Oh, okay.
But they were more singy.
Yes,
they were like
yes,
went
yes.
the hot water route.
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
They did.
All right,
Still
real
talented.
quick, you guys got to look. Here's Zion Williamson, number 1 on the bottom.
The giant man.
He's the 6'7", 285-pound 18-year-old who's
Yes.
going to
Fuck.
dominate this game. Give it a second. We'll talk sports for a second. Is Boy Sets Fire the biggest thing that ever came from Delaware?
Yes.
I think so too.
You're the knife.
You're the knife's gonna
hope
have to
to.
put some work into
There
it.
you
Yeah.
see him down there.
Yo, for those
Unbelievable.
of you that are into goon shit and ask us goon questions, I'm not going to talk about shit. I will.
Like goon, like fighting stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look up the Boy Sets Fire Syracuse show. It would be of interest to you.
Bass player from Boy Sets Fire quit because they signed to Victory.
Right.
Too corporate.
Too corporate.
Too corporate.
No, I got some stories, but whatever.
Yeah. Everybody does.
Any other honorable mentions from 00 to 04? So I threw Mental in, this because it started a scene of made a scene that was bigger and kind of they were almost a response to some of the bigger stuff that we just talked about. AN, Converge, even like HopeCon probably deserves a note in here.
HopeCon made Cold Blue made my honorable mention.
and that's actually a cool record.
And-
I tried to limit mine to 5, but I would have gone either Copel or EndNote.
And Note's cool, but here's you want a total wild card that I think I love so much. We've talked about it once or twice. The Promise demo is
you really
2 songs,
love
7 inches, great.
unbelievably good.
Believer's good.
Believer's ass, and this
I don't know if it's ass. I think that's going a little far.
it's ass.
He hates it.
I toured
hate
with them on that record. There's some really good songs on that.
It's ass.
The
He
EP
loves it.
is fucking great, though.
I call it Comeback Kid from Syracuse. It sucks. It's really
I feel like that EP is probably the best, one of the best 2000s EP.
no question.
Like, of the first 10 years. Easily.
I think you could put this EP, this 2-song 7-inch, provides so much aim away message fucking
Fodder?
yes, it's fucking dope.
Can we explain to people who are under 25 how big AIM was?
No, I can't.
That's going to be like
Imagine your phone.
That'll be the oral history.
Yes.
Is how fucking
Right. Imagine-
AIM was text messaging.
Yes.
Text messaging, Instagram, Tinder, all together.
100% Tinder.
Everything.
Yo, my house guest was on Tinder yesterday.
How was it?
New York is full of incredibly good-looking people.
Yeah,
Incredible.
motherfucker.
Yeah.
Why aren't you on there?
Because I
You're
don't like
in a
that.
pit of
I
desperation.
don't like that. I don't.
I get you. I get you.
Well,
you're
let's-
more of a what is the fish one?
Plenty of fish.
Yeah.
Bagel meets coffee.
Bagel meets coffee.
That's the thing.
No,
Yeah. Black people
glad
meat. Farmers
yes,
only. There we
farmers
go.
market, J date. You know what it is?
Christian Mingle.
Farmers market. It's for people who are interested in farmers but aren't farmers.
No, so
I like the idea of being a farmer.
It's like they like
I am not on it, not because I have some objection to it. It's because I'm bad at it.
Yeah.
I don't know how to
sure.
work that
Yes,
shit.
we know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What do you do?
You can do like some of my friends and just ask me what to say and ask.
No, not bad.
It works out pretty
it
well
works for
for me.
Cyrano.
Here's what I'll say. I'm good looking enough that you would swipe that way, but if I'm not immediately charming, I'm out the fucking door. You know what I mean? So
when you reply, "Hello, fellow human," they don't understand what to
precisely,
do.
Precisely. I'm like, let's take off our lizard faces, or let's reveal our lizard
Do you
faces
like
to each other.
bird pictures?
Right. There you go.
Do you like dudes singing on a couch?
Yeah.
'Cause I got something for you, buddy.
Yeah, here's a link.
2005 to
Damn it.
2009.
Okay.
An interesting time. Patrick, start us off.
Modern Life is War Witness.
Okay.
Have Heart, the Things We Carry.
Mm-hmm.
Blacklisted, Heavier Than Heaven.
Mm-hmm.
Then I have two ones. Okay. No, you know what? I'm going to say I haven't put a ton of EPs since the 80s, like early 80s, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think those early 80s EPs are actually LPs because they have so many fucking songs on them. TUI, Stay Cold. And then, most controversial pick, Verse, Aggression.
You want to go? Tell me, you want me to go?
I mean, it's up to you.
I'll go.
Cleanse the palate.
Have Heart, Things We Carry. Fucked Up, Hidden World.
Oh, sure.
Blacklisted, Heavier Than Heaven. Ceremony, Violence, Violence.
Sure.
Trapped Under Ice, Stay Cold. Those are my 5. And I've got some honorable mentions.
Yeah, likewise.
Very honorable.
All right, so mine are pretty much all yours. So I have My Life is War Witness. Have Heart, Things We Carry. Heavier Than Heaven, Lonely Than God. Trapped Under Ice, Secrets of the World.
Okay.
And Title Fight, Last Thing You Forget.
Okay. Now, so here's a question before we get into our honorable mentions.
Yes.
Is the fact that this has the most probably crossover, and I have fewer honorable mentions here than I do for any other period.
Okay.
Does this represent what I guess they would call a flattening of the market?
Yes.
A bit,
It
yes.
does, right?
A bit, it does. What is the big metalcore of the day here?
Of 05?
05 to 09.
09.
Do we start dwelling into, by the end of this, we're dwelling into deathcore?
Yeah, that's probably true. Yes.
Because I know in 2010, because we did the year in hardcore, you get Acacia Strain records.
What years were the fucking Throwdown records? I don't know. Bleeding Through records. These were
Those
all
are early O's.
These were all things, you know?
Like the latest of that, though, like you got to remember Throwdown's first stuff, Beyond Repair, I think might be even 99, 98, 99,
It might,
2000.
yeah,
you know, Bleeding Through, same deal. Bleeding Through had some records that lasted until this era,
Right.
but they're full on like, we're in rock magazines now.
Okay, so metalcore at this point then
starting entering the big era.
well,
Like this is the tail end of Trustkill. Like Trustkill's too big for its britches at this point.
so is this the type of metalcore
Although
that
The Truth by Bleeding Through, which is their big record.
but
06?
but not to hardcore kids. That's the one that's like way
That's the one with the
outside.
bloody mouth.
Way
Yeah,
outside,
yeah.
right? So what year? Hold on. Who is the band that's a Christian band? I don't like them. They've been around forever and make a lot of money.
Norma Jean.
No, they don't make a lot of
He
money.
likes them.
Amir.
No, Amir's not Christian.
I don't know. How do you know?
Okay, I can't prove Amir's not Christian. That's
Okay,
true.
you know what? One didn't get mentioned here.
from...
Not metalcore. Every Time I Die, Gutter Phenomenon. Isn't that in 2005 to 2009?
Yeah. So every time
That
I
record's
could have made this list several times in terms of like people purchasing records.
But this record, that's the record I think people first cite as like people who didn't like Every Time I Die before became converted on that record.
that might be true.
Like there's people from the Posy Numbers world
What?
who started migrating. Yes,
Oh.
who started migrating because it started having
or whatever
licks.
was like the we're just weird and noisy and this
Before that,
became
it was
the, like,
Converge. Then it was
Yes.
Last Night. Okay,
But then Every Time I Die became like Southern Tonawanda.
right. But did people like that?
Yeah.
Gutter
That's what they do
Phenomenon.
now.
Gutter Phenomenon became their hit.
Now they're
No, I did. Over the course of a tour, I did at least see them a few times, and they are now a very aggressive act. Like,
Oh no, but they're like Southern rock with mosh metal part.
yeah, but they downplay the Southern rock. I think was an era of their existence.
But that's the era that got them big.
that might be true. Yeah,
So who's the Christian band that's big?
I'm
Yeah.
looking. I'm looking.
So let's talk about this for a quick.
Living Sacrifice.
Jesus.
No, I wish.
Let's talk about. Well, he looks. Have Heart, Things We Carry.
Hold on.
Okay, you got it.
No, I thought that I had the name of their album.
Okay.
And that this band is now so influential that that when I went to Google, okay, I think this is the name of the record. There's a band, a moderately successful metalcore band, I guess, named that. So now I don't.
Now you can't track back.
What is
to it.
Chasing Safety? What?
Under
Oath.
Under Oath.
Yeah. Yeah.
What
yeah.
is Under Oath's big period? Because I think this.
You're something chasing. Yeah, that
No,
record.
but
That's the one with the mask on it.
Yes,
or whatever?
correct.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
But-
that was a big record.
right, and this is so for our listeners that don't know anything about metalcore and are like, you just said you like Norma Jean, why don't you like Under Oath? There are many people who like both those things.
Sure.
And
This is arena metalcore.
Yes, that's where metalcore hits at this point. So we talked about the flattening. Did we miss any like big, ignorant, or heavy records here? Because it starts
This
to go
era.
towards because it starts going like we named Stay Cold. Honorable mention for me, Trap to Paradise demo, just because it was so
Sure.
fucking big.
fuck. So
This
good.
is so good, so influential. It changed shit. My other honorable mentions: Iron Age, Constant Struggle.
Okay. Oh yeah, sure.
Oh fuck, I just lost it. Title Fight, Last Thing You Forget. Direct Control, You're Controlled, because the No Way Records thing was shockingly big. People don't understand how big that world was.
Okay, I'm glad you're saying this because there is, when we talk about the flattening of the market, that's to my eyes, but I'm certain that there's, like, when was the Youth Attack thing? When was, that was this era, right?
Youth Attack, so the early Youth Attack is the early OOs, right?
Okay.
Right, like that's when we're getting the...
So would this be when
That's
it
the
kicks in?
this is the limited pressings, like you start to get Squirms
Do you
cut
not-
in here.
Is Squirm when shit jumped the shark, or would you say Hoax LP is shark?
There's people who
shark jump.
freak the fuck out about how much they love Hoax.
I hope that they never encounter me or interact with me on any level. Don't even email me.
Right. So I'm largely nonplussed by this era, but this is the era where every Youth Attack record was coming out and selling out instantly.
Right.
Before this, it was the weird kind of like he was doing a lot of weird stuff, and some of it would sell really well, and some of it would sell nothing. The Virgin Mega Whore,
Yeah.
the era, you know. But this is the era where it was like, oh, everything comes out, and he started getting more early '80s in sound as opposed to like kind of weird and angular. But he always had a lean towards classical.
Did we
sound.
miss Charles Bronson?
Yeah, but
Late '90s?
Right, but I mean, like, do you think they were influential enough?
I don't.
Not sonically. It was no, not sonically. The record was really big, but it was not. But it was also not like.
I think
It was the LP, but the LP was notable because it was collectible and like hard to get, and they had an influence on the zeitgeist more than the sound.
Yes,
You know?
I think it's like if you want to be charitable, you could compare it to Born Against. If you want to be less charitable, to my ear, you compare it to Blood Brothers, where
Yes.
it's just like it's a thing that people like because of the attitude, and
Yes.
I would be shocked if they listened to it.
And I would have said that the Blood Brothers
Sasquatch?
might be something we would have said in the early 2000s, that they had a huge influence on things, but not something any of us listened to. There's
That
there
one
was-
record was really big.
yes.
Burn Piano Island.
Yeah.
Yep,
I mean, I couldn't tell you.
that's another one that if you like
Oh.
it, please don't email me.
Another
never heard a note.
another one from my honorable mentions I forgot about. Touche Amore, To the Beat of a Dead Horse comes out 2009.
Oh, sure.
You know,
2009.
so 9.
Wow.
So 05 to 09 honorable mentions.
Oh, can I please include The Carrier?
The Carrier. Really?
No Love Can Save Me. Let me explain
Really?
why.
Okay.
No disrespect to the Carrier dudes, did a show with them, like them. I
Nice
don't.
fellas to my memory.
I don't like Verse, and I don't like the Carrier.
Uh-huh.
I feel like those bands had such a pocket. You know what I mean? And there was others in there. I'm thinking of like Soul Control was probably just after
I
this. I Rise.
Carrier was a contemporary of Soul Control and Iris.
Okay.
What was the Baltimore band that was big?
Ruiner.
Ruiner.
That's what I'm thinking.
This
Same world.
this was its own world, its own scene, and just in the same way that there's plenty of stuff on the all of our lists that we don't like or don't have a connection to, you have to acknowledge that this.
I
Stuff
think if we
was
want to acknowledge
big.
one record of that world, like Verse falls into that world, but also leans over into the Half Heart world. a
Yes,
little more straightforward.
100%, yes.
But going towards that other side where you go, all right, so there's Half Heart. Let's put Half Heart closest to the center. They're the centrist band of this ilk.
Sure.
Then you go over to Verse, Shipwreck, The Carrier,
Yes. Oh, shit.
Ruiner.
I forget. Sure.
Killing the Dream.
Oh, Killing the Dream.
Killing the
being-
Dream might be the one I would use to note this kind of world because it's the furthest over. You can use Half Heart over here,
Yep.
and then you can use here. Verse, I think, gets swept away because Half Heart just did the Verse thing better and stronger and with more conviction.
I don't know. I mean, I like Have Heart better, but I think
Verse certainly had fans. Like,
Sure,
let's not deny
sure.
that. You know,
But I think Verse, I maybe put Verse more squarely in the Rivalry Records sort of world than
think about what that world is. That's adjacent to there was a chance Have Heart would have ended up on Rivalry.
for sure. Yeah.
Like, Have Heart went
Yes,
from,
that is entirely possible. That's possible.
Rivalry was Go It Alone.
But you hear? I hear some Youth Crew in Have Heart. Do you hear Youth Crew in Verse?
Twinges of the more melodic elements.
Okay.
Twinges of Turning Point.
Yes. Okay.
You know what I mean?
That's fine.
But even that, like Have Heart does pull a little bit more
right.
from, say, Rev Catalog. But
I'm being academic because I would choose Have Heart over
yes,
Verse.
but I think you might just be putting Have Heart further over because of aesthetic reasons, which I get. Those do matter. Whereas Sean was more likely to be wearing like a floppy hat. Pat was wearing a collegiate sweatshirt.
Okay.
And I don't know.
How
it's just
floppy a hat? What
presentation.
kind of hat are we talking
like not a beret,
Like a
but
Gilligan hat?
No, what are those? A beanie, but that's like got a flop. on it,
Oh,
you know what I
a
mean?
slouchy beanie.
Like the
Slouchy
opposite
beanie,
of how Ian Mackay wears it.
right.
He wears like a reservoir fit, like real tight to the head.
Yes.
Yeah, he's got it loosey, but
Yeah.
loose but flopped, not loose and high. You know
Sure.
that style.
We're talking Trash Talk Fan. Trash
but
Talk
he
Fan was
predates that.
yes, he does. But Trash Talk Fan was the Slouch Beanie King.
Slouch Beanie Kings. Yeah, that's a new band we're doing.
Slouch Beanie Kings.
I would like to, for honorable mentions, I
Yes.
was kind of going back and forth. Song "Scream at the Sun,"
Uh-huh.
also pretty fantastic
Sure.
in that era,
Important too. People loved it.
Yes.
and "Climate of Fear."
Ooh. Yep.
I mean, that would make if this was purely personal,
Purely
that would make
personal.
my list.
I feel like that was pretty big.
Oh,
But
it was.
I think-
It
yeah.
was. Yes, undeniable.
Guns Up Outlive.
Oh, yes.
And where are
Easily
you
could
with all
make
your
any
fucking?
of our lists?
And what about your Kroll handstand?
I mean, I love it, but I thought that these were the bands that kind of
Yeah, the record and the record more so than the band.
Right, yes.
Because that's the thing
Yes.
we could say. Like we none of us we did an episode with Jay Reason who works with Ryan and was a big Outbreak fan, and he says he liked some tracks. We low rate their tracks, but we can't deny like on a live level if we were doing, which maybe that would be a fun activity, is live videos 5 best of these 5 years. Watch
Sure,
these 5
yes.
videos. Maybe we'll do
Oh,
that.
that'd be
at-
nice.
That's
That'd be
actually a fun one.
But yeah, like look, Blacklisted and I'm trying to think of who I would want to see. Like Bitter End, Blacklisted. These would be the bands that I would want to see from this era.
Yeah.
But I just think that like, and I don't even know if Aggression is the Verse record. What's the one before that? I don't know. But like,
No,
I think Aggression is the big record. Though.
is that the big
Aggression's big. No, they did a record before that. I thought that did really well too.
point is that
There's
I really
four
felt
verse
that, I really
LPs, so
felt that we
this-
had
this-
to
Or
acknowledge.
verse LPs?
The Aggression LP is the second.
That sounds right.
The first one I think is bigger, which is From Something Something.
Well, I just thought, and honestly, instead of the Carrier, we could have put Killing the Dream, but that really does represent sort of, for a lot of people, that's as extreme a melodic hardcore as you're going
Yes.
to get. That people can still call hardcore.
Yep.
You know.
Did they feel like they wouldn't place it anywhere else?
From Anger and Rage.
From Anger and Rage, I think is
Okay.
the bigger of those. Yeah, this era, I think there's a lot of people Blacklisted. Eye for an Eye. There's people who just fucking love the early Blacklisted.
Mm-hmm.
They break up in 06 but get together shortly thereafter because I think they kind of were like, man, why are we breaking up? We like doing this. Fuck it. The sound changed and became more honed, and I think they did their own thing with the EP. I think the 7-inch that came before this, which is War on Earth, Peace on Stage, arguably could be included as opposed to Heavier Than Heaven. I just take Heavier Than Heaven because it's got more material.
Yeah,
It's great.
I
Both-
did
both
consider.
are right there.
Damn, I had a question. Go on.
All right. I think we're ready to move into
10, 14?
10 to 14. I'll start us off.
Oh, I'm sorry. I do remember
Yeah.
my question.
Yeah, please.
So you have a better ear for the basement stuff.
Uh-huh.
Did it just not exist?
No, so this is a weird era for basement stuff. So you have the No Way Records scene. There is a weird kind of like neo, like noisy kind of like music scene that's going on. There's bands. The first couple Home Blitz EPs are kind of interesting from this time period. You have the remnants or like the start of the like second wave of Williamsburg,
Right.
like lo-fi scene that like is not hardcore at all, but like what like Crystal Castles and like Vivian Girls and some of this other lo-fi kind of shit. You get what's that? What's the label that's really big? Sacred
Bones.
Sacred Bones stuff is starting up. You get the Men, you get stuff like that starting here.
So I understand that this is I think it's a Youth Attack record, but correct me if I'm wrong. I should point out to people that the Cult Ritual fake phenomenon was really big.
Yeah.
Aided exclusively by message boards and a fake, totally fraudulent nod to Black Flag material that people pretended to listen to at that time.
Was Cult Ritual dudes who went on to do merchandise?
That sounds right.
And maybe a few of those other bands.
Yes.
And there's some really good material in the merchandise Milk Music world. They did another band that's maybe Nazi something. That's
Nazi Dust was one.
Nazi Dust, yep, that I thought was decent. You have kind of leading into this, I guess it's in this world. You have stuff like Sexvid,
Yep, sure.
which was okay. I saw them in a venue that was no joke the size of this room with 15 other people in like Costa Mesa.
My coworker at Sacred Chow in the West Village, that was his band when he moved to Olympia.
No, there you go. Wait, not Nick.
No, RJ.
RJ. Oh, okay, yeah.
But so
But if you want to check out a band like go listen to the Cold Sweat records from the early 2000s.
Sure.
That shit's fucking great, and way more aggressive than Sex Fed. But like, I think there was the basement scene. I think it depends on where you were, but I think if you go down to Virginia, basement scene got more mellow. If you're in Boston, the basement scene there has always been completely disconnected from the hardcore scene. And I think a lot of the more like 80s hardcore influence stuff starts coming up. You get a mix of the early 80s thrash and then people trying to do more of a Black Flag thing. So you see a lot of those remnants.
Felt so confused to me, man. This was like the most confused era where I just felt like the name checking Black Flag while really
Wasn't that No Age band?
it was really like No Age was a fucking thing. That's such an LA for people that aren't for people who don't buy the LA like nonsense actual fucking gibberish that is LA. No Age was like, oh, you mean that act that puts themselves on everything? Oh,
Yeah.
okay. But for people that either buy into LA nonsense or were outside of it,
I don't know any better.
we're like, oh, that band's big, right? And it's like, it's kind of, if you're going to be honest,
big.
it's the band that puts itself on everything. You know what I mean? Like,
Well, what power do they have?
ran a venue for a time, I want to say.
Did they run the Smell?
That sounds right.
Yes.
Or at least we're affiliated.
Or affiliated enough that they could kind of have their say. This era, 05 to 09, is weirdly reminiscent of what's going on right now.
Oh, okay.
In this way, kind of in the pre-social media, pre-everything saturated way, pre-everybody having Twitter way, because I'd love to know the numbers on, because I think we had a Sound and Fury Twitter starting in 2007, maybe even late 2006. But it was like became this era where it was okay to like the shit that was coming out on Death Wish, but also crusty shit, but also like rivalry stuff. Like it was a mixed bag.
Sure.
But there were still sort of certain limitations and things that fit better or worse.
Yeah, and the way that I would argue that the way that you kind of separated yourself from all of that world was maybe you dove into the Youth Attack sort of stuff, which I guess was the basement stuff. Is that basically what you're telling me, that kind of subsumed the basement stuff?
It had a space for it, but there was a lack of basement stuff, I think, is the correct answer. And that's like, let's also be honest, there's probably an ignorance to some of the stuff. I think there was some basement stuff going on in Chicago actually at this time, like the Repos and a few other things. But like, this is a period where I was living in LA And like the basement stuff equivalent of LA is what was going on at the Smell, and the Smell just got too cool.
Right.
And there were a lot of DIY shows and smaller stuff, but some of that stuff fractured and got really hyper focused into genre-ing.
Yo, how crazy is it?
Like you could go see the Harry Balzania, you know?
So this is interesting. I'd like our listeners that know more about this to hit us. Youth attack bands, largely, at least the ones that I know, are apolitical, maybe provocative, but not political, right?
Band to band.
So if you're going to be if you're a basement kid and you're going from Drop Dead, which was my basement experience,
Yes.
right, to I still love this scene, I love this vibe, but now the bands are using that word you're not supposed to use in an effort to piss me off, and
Like shocking.
and
stuff.
not talking about anything, and
It's an interesting question.
does it matter to you? Or was this like the equivalent of the heavy bands going from Earth Crisis to Love?
Well, so here's a good example of it, which we should talk about because it kind of touches on some things that are more relevant now. One, before I get into that,
Yeah.
how'd you feel about Devoid of Faith?
So I did not like anything. The one dude in the band I really liked, but I didn't like anything Albany had on offer at the time. If I listen to Devoid of
that
Faith,
world,
of that. I mean, Monster X was funny, but whatever.
Right. Yeah,
If I listen to it now, I'd probably like it more.
yeah. You should check it. I'm curious what you think now.
But no, if I liked anything from that world, it was the stuff that came through really often. So like Drop Dead would be
Sure,
the example.
yeah,
and I don't love Drop Dead. I just think Drop Dead has one of the best overall aesthetics of any hardcore.
I think it's hard to argue.
Maybe ever.
All right, so this example from this time period, the band Government Warning was very popular.
Right.
And the singer said a word you're not supposed to say
God forbid.
and got canceled.
No shit.
But
In this
didn't-
era?
But didn't totally get canceled
No, in that
because it
era
was
you
this
didn't.
era.
Wait.
But people had
Say it on
feelings.
stage.
Help me.
Either on, I let me not speak out of turn. I don't know.
Okay.
Well,
It was either on stage or very loudly at a show where everyone heard it and did the oops.
wait. If anybody wants to make me say a word you're not supposed to say, just step to me. When people get mad, they say words they're not supposed to say.
I'm pretty sure he might have been intoxicated. It was a whole thing, but it was a whole thing and it hit internet wavelengths. This is also a notable thing because this is the time period where shit starts to go down. That's like, wait a second, why the fuck are we talking about the bass player in Modern Life is War slapping some kid's cell phone?
Oh, right. That's
You know
such
what I mean?
Nonsense. Yeah.
Right, but this Government Warning thing kind of happens like that, and people are like, wait a second. I don't think I like that he said that. 5 years ago, I definitely wouldn't have known that at all. Huh. What is this? So sorry to become a conversation. Worth mentioning here.
But I'm sorry, what era? That was the
05 to 09, somewhere in there.
No shit.
Probably 05, 06, 07. Not 05, probably 06, 07.
So
somewhere in there.
would we call him a Roots cancellation?
Roots canceled, boy.
Okay.
All right.
Roots OG.
Roots OG.
OG cancellation.
All right. Let's do 2010 to 2014. We're wrapping up here. I'll start. Turnstile.
I think the market's flat. That's what I'm saying.
I think it's wait till this diversity right here.
Okay.
Turnstile, Nonstop Feeling.
Yep.
Title Fight, Floral Green.
Yep.
Code Orange, I Am King.
Yep.
Incendiary, Cost of Living.
Oh, I'm sorry. This is 10 to 14.
10 to
okay.
14.
Sorry. Go on.
Touche Amore, Part in the Sea Between, whatever, Brightness and Me. Those are my 5.
Are you sure that Turnstile record is 10 to 14?
Is that 15?
I think it might be.
Ooh, all right. Let's see.
Give him a mulligan. You gave me a poison.
No,
ball
you know what?
mulligan.
I'll just go Trapped Under Ice, Big Kiss, Goodnight then.
Okay.
Boom. There we go.
Those are my 5. Go.
Incendiary Cost of Living, Trapped Under Ice, Big Kiss Goodnight, Code Orange, I Am King, Twitching Tongues, In Love, There Is No Law,
Oh yeah, sure.
and Foundation Turncoat.
Okay, market's not as flat as I thought.
And you're right. Turnstile, Nonstop Feeling came out January 13th,
Fuck.
2015. Yeah.
Give him the
it's cool.
molly.
Yeah. Okay. I said Ceremony, Roanoke Park,
Oh, okay. Good.
Touche,
Yep.
Part in the Sea. I said Nails on Silent Death.
Oh, great one.
TUI, Big Kiss Goodnight, and Code Orange, I Am King.
Okay. Honorable mentions. Harm's Way Isolation.
Sure.
Apparently Zabalba, Hasta la Muerte.
As
Jesus
as
Christ.
we've learned from the feedback
Big
on our
record.
Huge.
Big record.
Make Zabalba America again. Jesus Christ.
People love it.
I think on Silent Death's a great call. I think shit. What was the one I just had? I lost it. I should have wrote down my honorable mention.
I couldn't say this era is to me.
It's a thin era for me.
Yeah. And I just maybe we're old, but I don't think so because we do a fucking hardcore podcast
Yes.
where we are informed of stuff all the time.
And we're talking about fucking demos that come out
Yes.
and break up. For me personally, I put Fucked Up David Comes to Life, but I think that's squarely outside of the hardcore zeitgeist, despite how big the record was.
Oh, really? Because I have something to tell you, my dude.
Please.
Let me just refer to when I was looking for albums from this era online. Let me tell
you have some listicles?
Let me tell you the fucking listicle that I encountered, which was
http://
This is albumoftheyear.org.
Albumoftheyear.org.
Which, so far as I can tell, is like a Metacritic for music, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Best hardcore punk albums of the 2010s.
Okay.
Number 1, Fucked Up, David Comes to Life. Number 2, this is by review, by the way, everybody, so you understand this. Which has 73 reviews, which is more reviews than any other. Turnstile Time and Space does have 77. Okay. So that is to say, everybody, it's a big record. If anybody liked it, it would have more. It would have more positive reviews than any. However, Kvelkervaktak, which I can't say, has a very positive reviews out of 33 reviews.
What the hell is that?
They're like Converge adjacent.
Yes.
Okay.
It plays Euro
From
shows at
Norway.
Converge.
Okay.
Yes.
It's like KVELERT.
So how do we feel about Blue Will Smith?
I haven't seen Blue Will
Hold on,
Smith.
wait. It's coming. We're watching a trailer.
I heard complaint.
There we go.
Yeah.
Oh, he looks cool.
He looked kind of...
I was just gonna say he looks built.
Slim, thick, with the fat ass.
Yeah.
Will Smith.
Oh, I'm not sure. I like actual Aladdin.
But I heard there was beef because the Jafar didn't look like dastardly enough.
Oh, really? Well, they're probably really
Cartoon Jafar is fucking dastardly.
They're probably scared of making him look like some sort of fucking stereotype.
yeah,
and we're like
definitely.
kind of walk
Fair
it back a lot.
I'm with that.
Nails Abandon All Life. Out of 44 reviews, has really positive.
Worth noting.
Yeah.
You on Metacritic?
This
He's on
is
this
the
hardcore best hardcore records list.
This is the best hardcore records. I remember what I'm saying.
Yeah.
This is insane. Swain, the Long Dark Blue.
I don't even know who that band is.
Euro band, nice dudes. Haven't heard this record. Gloss, Trans Day of Revenge.
Has that been forgotten already?
Not
100%.
a living human being is listening to this record on purpose.
I don't think that's true.
No.
But I do think that it is. When we started this podcast at the very tail end of 2017, Gloss was still simmering conversation, and it's just, we're 15 months later, and I give it another 6 months till it's dust in the wind.
If you're 25, you don't know what that is.
Yes.
Birds in Row, We Already Lost the World, has very high reviews. Fucked Up Glass Boys. Is that an EP?
It's an LP.
Okay.
The one right before this one.
Yeah.
Converge, Beautiful Ruin.
So this is skewed hard because of exactly what you said. It's a metadata. It's a review thing. They're just pulling all this information and putting it in one space, which blow me. This shit sucks.
It sucks so bad. Turnstile, Time and Space. Now, I have to confess there is a beef here. Axe to Grind. Blah, blah, blah.
With who?
The next one. Downtown Boys, Cost of Living. 58 reviews.
Wait, Downtown Boys have a record called Cost of Living?
They do.
Copies.
I guess. That's the first I saw
Fuck
it.
'em.
But so, and if anybody, there's not a person that thinks that's a hardcore record. That's fine. It can be any sort of record it
I
wants.
haven't heard a note.
There's not a person on earth that knows anything about punk or hardcore music that would put this in their top 100 of the last ever, right?
100 of the last month.
So,
Yeah, right. The last week.
Right. So now I don't like this band can kiss my ass, fuck them, whatever. But I don't think that matters for my point, which is nobody's talking about this.
No.
This doesn't matter to anybody. It was on Sub Pop, so it was on Sub Pop in an era where people were really desperate to review things that made them seem plugged into a certain thing, and they got 58 reviews, which is a very high number of reviews. Dead Cross, which I think must be a Mike Patton thing. Does that
It's
sound-
Mike Patton with Justin Pearson. And
Oh, yeah.
It's like the locus of Mike Patton. pretty
Okay,
much.
no surprise, 49 reviews.
Mike and Dave Lombardo from Slayer. It's like a fucking thing.
Yeah, this is a joke. And then to prove the point, off.
Dude,
Like, if you think...
Shut it off.
If anybody thinks
Duke on a
that...
run. I love it.
Yeah.
Look, I have said before, I was at Off's first show, I thought it was all right. Good bass playing.
Talk more about Good Clean Fun again, please.
Good Clean Fun is much better than Off. Yeah. Good Clean Fun is much more a hardcore band than Off.
Yeah.
I don't think Off needs to be a hardcore band. I don't think Off needs to satisfy me. Just so everybody is clear, there is not a person who is plugged into punk or hardcore music on any level whatsoever who would ever tell you that Off was
Matters for a fucking
matters
heartbeat.
or should be listened to.
Yes.
It exists exclusively in the record collections of people who do not listen to punk or hardcore music.
Novelty act.
Yes.
Novelty act. Move on.
That's what, not all this stuff I could speak to, but that speaks to...
it's a hat band.
It's a hat band. But
Pure garb.
this is that sort of shit where the amount of reviews that you're getting, what you encounter is people who don't know anything about a genre, which is that's fair, right? And that's why, like when we were talking about Nails on our Mosh Madness, a lot of people said the same thing. Tom and I said the same thing, which is this is the most extreme I go with this particular thing.
Yeah.
And within that context, we like it. I'm never going to talk about Nails again. You know why? Because this list cured me of thinking that I should talk about anything that I don't know a ton
You don't
about.
feel versed in?
Yes. So this was the sort of list that I found online. Our listeners, you don't got to take us for gospel ever, but never take shit like this for gospel.
No, please don't. Please don't. Discover it 18
It's a
other ways.
compilation of. It doesn't mean anything.
It means it just irritated me that it had the title best hardcore albums of the 2010s, and 3 of them were decidedly not hardcore records, and at least 2 others were nothing that anybody's ever talked about.
Right.
Honorable mentions. Do you have
Please.
any? Did you any?
Where are we?
2010 to 14.
No, I do not. That was a struggle for me, if I'm being honest.
I think this was it was a tough period. Yeah, I don't know. Was there anything that we haven't mentioned that you think, like the Nails on Silent Death definitely deserves mention. Terror, Keepers of the Faith, I think certainly deserves mention.
Market's flat, my dude.
Yeah, this was a weird time, and I don't think it was. It's not to say that it was a creatively bankrupt time, but
No.
there was definitely. It felt like there was a bit of a deficit.
Sure. What it also means, honestly, might be there's 10 things that are getting out to everybody, and then maybe a whole lot that are getting out to nobody.
That's true.
And I think that might be the flattening that we're looking at.
That's true. All right, let's do the last 4 years, 2015 to 2019.
Yeah, we all got the same ones.
Maybe not.
No, maybe not. I only got 4, so I don't know.
I got 5.
All right, let's start us off, Tom.
All right, so I got Power Trip, Manifest Destination.
Yep.
Mind Force, Excalibur.
Okay, yeah.
Turnstile, Time and Space.
Okay.
Incendiary, 1,000 Mile Stare.
Uh-huh.
Fiddlehead, Springtime of Blind.
Oh, really? Okay, we have none of the same.
I'll do mine.
Okay.
Mind Force Excalibur,
Okay.
Fury Paramount,
Okay.
Candy, Good to Feel.
Yep. Oh, no, Candy.
Good to Feel, I did.
Yeah?
I did the LP.
You did, okay.
Vane, Arizona,
Uh-huh.
Fiddlehead, Summertime and Blind.
I said Turnstile, Nonstop Feeling. Vane, Arizona. Candy Says. And Power Trip, Nightmare Logic.
Honorable mentions for me: Nightmare Logic, Time and Space, Knocked Loose Laugh Tracks, because I think that's a pretty important record. I don't fuck
No debate.
with. Yeah, I don't really fuck with. Like same way I don't fuck with Code Orange, I Am King. Undeniable importance.
Yes.
Knocked Loose. I am hopeful that turns into a gateway band. When you see the bands they take on tour, you can see that is their intent. They would like to open things up and bring people into a world they love, which is pretty fucking cool.
It's cool.
Hell yeah.
I see more stuff. Oh, another honorable mention for me is the tragedy Fury.
Yeah,
Me?
you big up
I
this.
love
I
that
still haven't
record.
given it a shot.
You really should, because you fuck with some of the other material.
Yep.
There's other stuff that I think is going to come in this period that's going to last better than the 5 years prior. So this is a fun little activity we did that, we are kind of identifying that we think the 2010 to 2014 5-year range might be one of the harder ones.
Right.
And I think that you could start going, oh, maybe things are going south. There's I think it's a very secular nature, and there's more stuff coming in. And there might be people who are like, what are you fucking talking about? Are you on crack? 2010 to 2014, that's my years, dude.
No, sure.
And that's cool. So what'd you think of this activity as a whole?
It was tough, but it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. It's fun when you think about it because it's not like, there's tons of bands. There's some of my favorite bands we didn't mention at all. You know what I mean?
I mean, a lot of my favorite bands from my favorite eras.
Lungfish is essentially your favorite band.
Yeah, but I would also, as far as hardcore acts, you and I both love Threadbare.
Yeah.
I would have, if this was my personal
list.
We'll do a personal list.
We'll do our personal
juncture.
list. Yeah, that's actually a fun.
Mine was kind of a mix.
Yeah.
Which I think you did but you leaned on that, but all yours made a lot of sense.
But I mean, Threadbare influenced nobody.
Nobody. I don't think
Not to be a dick.
No, I don't think.
No,
a band.
I think it's an interesting question.
If you told me,
No, you're right.
If
No,
you
you're right.
asked me at the time, who's going to influence more bands, Threadbare or Disembodied? I would have said Threadbare. It's a better band.
Not
It's a
even
better band.
fucking
Not
close.
even remotely close.
Right, and that's a band we didn't mention is Disembodied.
Yep.
Because when did their influence come into focus? 2009?
When did Code Orange get big?
Yeah, exactly.
12. Yeah.
Yeah, 2012.
Exactly right.
So, and the same thing, we said Crown of Thorns Mentally Vexed. Because of TUI,
Yep.
that became something much that you identified as personal, but that's something people should check out.
There's a thread there for sure.
Yeah.
And honestly, that's where, if we failed people with this exercise, it's the threads.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think we were wrong with any of these.
Yeah, no, and there's things that I didn't mention, like, I think I would mention Cold World Ice Grills, too. I think that's a big record.
Yes.
But when I was looking through for that time period, I think that's 05, it was hard to squeeze it in there. And there's going to be shit we miss. So give us your own lists. We'll throw this out there. Once we'll share. We'll post up some stuff. We'll do it. We'll make it a fun thing.
Someone will make it a Facebook thing.
Yeah. So
Fight.
Yo, what about Mortal Kombat? 2 questions to close this one.
Sure.
Mortal Kombat. Did you like it more than Street Fighter or less?
Way less.
Less.
Tom? Less. You guys are both Street Fighter guys.
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
I don't fuck with like the new Street Fighters where you double jump off the fucking...
No, it's Street Fighter 2.
Yeah, exactly.
You get like Super or Alpha or some shit. That's it. Mortal Kombat 2 is the peak of fighting games to me.
Right.
Do either of you guys fuck with Game of Thrones?
No.
I watched... I'm in the second season. It's taken me 12 years to get to the second season.
You should get through. It gets real crazy.
I mean, I really enjoy the shit out of it.
You should check it out,
my
Tom.
girlfriend left me.
I have.
What have you got? Only the first couple episodes, or? Oh yes, you did, and something threw you off, right?
The fact that like a 12-year-old was still nursing.
Oh yeah,
There's a lot of Peter Dinklage going down on women.
Okay.
Oh, is that part bad?
Well, no, but it was just like that. When you turn it on, you're like, oh, this is a thing that's
So
happening.
you don't watch it with your mom.
After season 2, the sexy time and breastfeeding goes down.
The breastfeeding was the big
exponentially.
thing. Then I'm like,
Yeah,
that kid's like an adult.
That only happens one other time period for the rest of the series.
Okay, but it was enough for me. I was like, I'm going to get out of here. I watched the red wedding scene because I heard so much about it.
Oh, that one's a little hard to watch. The pregnant woman getting stabbed over and over in the baby belly.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
that's
then
not
I
good,
watched
No.
when Peter Dinklage's guy killed the king.
Oh yeah, well, killed his father.
This is a lot.
No, the little guy.
Yeah,
It was a
Tyrion.
young kid.
Oh, killed Joffrey. Oh, he didn't kill Joffrey, but yeah,
I thought someone poisoned him.
someone poisoned him.
Someone,
it.
but it's a whole thing.
Did they make it look like Dinklage at the time?
They try to implicate him. Yeah.
They blame him, but we know it's a fraud.
How big is Dinklage going to be, no pun intended, in the new Avengers movie?
Is he in it? Oh no.
'Cause he's the guy who created the Infinity Gauntlet.
Well, he forged the gauntlet.
Right, but they already got it from him. What are they going to go back to him?
I don't think
But
they're going
it's
to go back to
destroyed.
him.
Yeah.
I actually liked the development of his character there. That was kind of cool.
They broke his hands, right?
yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah. That
But
was,
apparently they go back to him
I
and get a
tried
new
watching it
gauntlet.
the other day. It's like 2 hours long.
it's a very long
Can't fuck
one.
with
It's
it.
a great movie, though. I'm not into any of that shit, and I loved it.
R.I.P. Joffrey. Everybody have a good time. Thank you for
Good
your
time
listening.
and the
Yes.
things.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.